hello everyone.
I love it.
Whereas, yeah, so up the intro a bit. That's just going to be a live stream for it. But I thought I need it retro. I need to make it look like this is like antiquated junk. You know, it should be crazy on that. All right. That is usually about 10 seconds behind this. So yeah, if people just let us know. Chewy's already let us know that it's working. So that's a good start. And hope you didn't mind.
Can you hear us?
Yes, we can hear you. It's all good. And hope you don't mind the slight mockery of the intro either.
I love it.
I don't take it as mockery. I take it as you saying like we are the best.
Yeah.
And you just want to be as good as us. So that's great.
It's a very distinct intro. It almost like you start off and then you're buffering and then you finish the rest of the hello. It's like
yeah.
But yep, everybody, this is as planned, a top 10 list collaboration. Everyone's been not telling me about. They've been demanding this for months. That we had to do this. It's like, when are you and Board Game Ramblings going to do something together? It's like, give me a chat or give them a chance. You know, we got to arrange it between the three of us. But yes, this is a top 10 list that we're doing. This hopefully won't be the last time we do this sort of thing, depending on whether they get put off by the end. Hopefully not, though. I want to do more of these. But yep, so say hi, Jim.
Hello.
Well, enthusiasm, you two. Come on.
Hello. You can say hello as well. Like you're still here. You're still here.
Hi.
Hey.
It's like there are two of them. One does speak.
We're like Penn and Teller of board games.
You're like the monkeys. No. You're the blind one. No.
With one the ventriloquist dummy on the side as well.
Yes.
I'll leave you two to choose. But now this is right. We got to preface this. This is our top 10 games. That was it. The other channel likes that we don't like. Phrase it however you like, or top 10 games you're wrong about. But we need to set aside about 500 disclaimers before we start this. Okay, this is tongue in cheek. We do like a lot of games that the other plays. We are friends. We do meet up at conventions and play games, drink, and all the happy stuff. And even though we are going to basically roast 10 games that the other channel likes, if you like these games, good on you. All right.
Yeah.
You go play them. I mean, you know, we're not taking score or anything like that, because if I did, I would lose horribly. I know that for a fact. Not whether it's people siding with me or you. It's no, these games I'm in the minority. Therefore, I would get absolutely screwed if I tried that system. Not happening. But quite simply, with this one is we've looked through each other's like top lists. So they've gone through and looked through my top 100 and picked out 10 games that was like, okay, Luke, why do you like this? I basically just copied and pasted their top 10. It was nice and easy. But, it was actually a bit harder than I thought, actually. I had to go through the whole 50. And even then I had to think, right, there is quite a lot of stuff here I do like. But even then there was a lot of stuff that I remember playing once, not liking, but then I've forgotten it. So I can't.
Yeah, we had a hard time making this list actually, because we like a lot of the games that you like. You just don't like the games that we like. Is our impression.
Yeah, that was kind of the hardest thing. Is that the more I tried to make this list, or we try to make it, the more I saw like, oh, but we agree on most of these things. The things that you are wrong about are mostly the things that are going to be on your list. So it's going to be, this might be the hardest top 10 that I have made. So there might actually be games that I don't really hate all these games, if you can use the word hate. But there are games here I would think are okay, but I feel like you have them way higher than I would, basically.
Yeah, because there was, I mean, I didn't want to put games on the list where it's like, right, you like this game loads more than I do, but then I still like it. So it's not really, I don't want to say someone's wrong because they like a game more than I like it. That's perfectly fine. It's like, you go love it. That's, perfectly fine with that. I just had to kind of think, right, these ones, I don't like, and they are high on the list. But I also had to try and premise that there was only a few games I could find that were on both your lists. So you've only got to pick from mine, but I'm looking at 2 sets of 50 and I'm going, right, both of them like this, wrong. Both of them like this, wrong. Oh, and then quickly got to a point where I'm literally just looking at one person, because one person loves it, but then I don't know if the other one hates it or not. And
let's find out. Yeah.
And I feel like I was being a little bit like biased against one of you as I was going through the choice.
I'm gonna guess me.
No, I'm not gonna say who. I'm not saying. But we do have a lot of games that we do like. You know, we've shown each other's collections off, and I mean, you had yours on Twitter recently, the shelf, and I could see a lot of stuff there that I would happily spend the entire month playing, on end. It would not be a problem, honestly. So, looking at the chat, Chewy Surf, Gen Y, nice to see you, Lionel. You're gonna make this announcement, you two, because this is boggling my mind as well.
That's great. It's coming Tuesday.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun. Hopefully, we're not gonna say more except if we end up spoiling something. It's gonna be hard and horrible and also fun.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've had ideas, but I mean, I can't think that they would work. Although there's one or two I saw on Twitter that probably you don't want them to be the options. They weren't gaming related, put it that way.
No, it's gaming related. Yes,
it's
it
absolutely
is.
gaming related. We can spoil that much.
It's not making persons related.
No.
We can spoil that. Yeah.
It's not a third player. No.
No.
Someone said that legitimately. It's like, well, this is personal or whatever. But nope. And of course, say your intro catches on because everybody is doing the Halo.
Hello.
Well, it's better than mine because I don't really have that specific intro, but all good. As I say, just wait till Tuesday. They'll, I want to find out this as well. Believe it, I'm not lying. They have not told me, and I don't want them to. So I need to get excited as well. So as I say, we are just going to go through the list like 10s, 9s, 8s, 7s, 6s. We're no doubt going to discuss like crazy. I'll flag up some comments if I see something fun in the chat. It's just basically a get together in a sense. This is not like my structured top 10 lists where it's straight up, right, half an hour, we need to get this done. It's like, no, I'm not meeting anybody until 7. We got all the time in the world.
Yeah,
this is going to be like 6 hours something.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, and if people sort of feel like, the video a bit long, tough. My stream, my rules. You asked for this crossover. If we did it in 20 minutes flat, I think you'd all be disappointed and shouting at me anyway. So it's good. But this is the first one I've done live with someone else while in control. So if things go wrong, you can kind of see why. But so far things seem to be pretty good. So if I can find everything, because that's the problem. I got to select it all on screens, and it's always a bit of a madness. But right, let's start off with the 10s.
Yeah.
Spared no expense.
Boom! That's awesome. That's more than ours.
It took me like an hour and a half to do all those. It was like a bit manic trying to do like little Premiere Pro things. But as always, I have a golden rule with this, even though this is the first time I've done it. Guests go first.
Oh, cool.
Okay, nice. That is
so,
you.
Like, our top 10 is not in like order. I don't know how you did it, but it's not from least to most because we want to do back and forth. So I have one and Sunniva had one, and so it's not going to be like from the least to the top. I'm just saying words now, which I sometimes do. I am going to start then with number 10, obviously because we are at number 10. The number 10 for me is a game that I think is fine. It's one of those games, but it was on my top 10 overrated games. It is your number 5 of all time, Viticulture.
Oh, yes. Actually, yeah. I should have done a list before this happened, or so. Where I did what you were doing, but I didn't get round to doing that. But yeah, Viticulture would have been one I could have put money on. Yeah,
this is one of those games where I agree with you. Like from what you're saying, like without Tuscany, this game is basically nothing for me. It's just a worker placement game where you can randomly get a lot of points if you are lucky by drawing cards. And Viticulture is one of those games that for me is a fine game. So I'm starting out easy and don't have a lot to roast about this. The big thing is you also have the good wine game on your top 100, Vinios, but you have it at like 60 or something. I don't remember the exact number. And that is an amazing game. And then you have Viticulture, which is like and no, most people love it. So here I'm going to get that. This is one of those where most people will disagree with me. But I have never found this game really engaging, especially, and of course, people who don't see our show, we don't care for theme. But I understand the theme here, but it's a decent worker placement game, and it's at your number 5. So this is one of those games that, I just don't like it.
Oh man, I mean, I do love Vinios as well, but Vinios is like a 3-hour Euro that I've probably forgotten all the rules to it by now. But when I do play it, I do enjoy it. It's just, it doesn't get to the table anywhere near as often as this could, because all the rules are ingrained in my head, and I can whip this out, anywhere between like 3 and 5 players. I usually prefer it. Always have a wine bottle. I mean, this picture's got one there. That is kind of me doing it, because I would happily drink wine playing this game. And the only thing is that I do preface is that this would have been closer to Vinhos if it wasn't for Tuscany. And I do side with that. This game didn't realize its full potential until Tuscany came out. Once that happened, it's like, oh yeah, this is like my 10 out of 10 game. But before then, it was kind of like, maybe not so much. But once you threw this Tuscany in the mix, you then ended up with the 4-season board, and that's when it's like, right, I need the 4 seasons, I need the structure cards, the advanced like the visitor cards and that. But I just love this for, I know you say you're not big on theme, which makes me sad, but I love theme, and both games are good. Vinhos has got perfectly good theme as well. It's just a different, one is a wine business, the other one is a vineyard. So it's kind of.
And then I have a question, because this is actually one thing we haven't really spoken about too much. So in this game, for example, and this is basically like a general question, how much of the enjoyment for you is the theme? Like, how much, if this was a game about doing
trading in the Mediterranean.
I was trying to do another thing about that. Like, for example, if this were a game like you were building up a mining town or something like that, would that make you enjoy the game less? This is just curiosity, basically. How much is a specific theme important for you, example, in this game?
The theme is important, yes, but I still like the mechanics within it. I mean, it's still nice, simple worker placement. Rules are not complicated. I've got multiple paths I can go for, and I like the timer, like going from season that I've got to think, right, do I hold a worker back till winter, or do I use it all now? The wake up chart that I've got here, I love as well, being able to say, right, when am I going to start a round in turn order? Like, it's not forced upon me based on what I did last round. It's what do I want bonuses wise? I'm going to go here, and all these little bits just connect up really well in the game. That's not that difficult to teach. But the theme, and a lot of my top 20 games and that usually have this aspect as well. Theme is something that I still rate games on. And an unwritten law that I have is that a game with, strong mechanics will make for a fun experience, but a strong theme brings me back for the second play. That's kind of the thing. Yeah. If you made this mechanically the same game, but then put an Industrial Revolution mining town or something, I could probably play it and go, yeah, that's kind of all right, but I just don't feel like mining coal. It's just like, it's not an interesting bit, but a good theme will bring me back. My favorite, well, actually, I don't want to spoil.
I think we should. It would be really cool to do like a longer video on theme with you. So we should write down that and do that, because that would be very interesting to hear from somebody who don't care about theme at all and discuss that. That would be very interesting.
Fair enough. Yeah, people in the comments, let us know. You want that discussion on theme, not necessarily top 10 thematic games, but just talking about theme in general.
Yeah,
that'd be pretty good.
And just to end this, like for me, this is one that I might kind of. Thank you for putting that up there.
Yeah.
Hey, Lionel.
Hi, Lionel.
This is one of those. This is one of those that I might. This is one of those I might change my meaning on, because it's been a couple of years, 3-4 years since I played it, I think. And we will try to play it soon.
Yeah, I am between Johannes and Luke here, because I see I hate when I'm growing these red grapes, and I look for a wine order and I don't get anything that I want, and that still bugs me about this game. But other than that, I really like the worker placement as well. So I think that part of the game is excellent executed. Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm wrong then.
Partly.
2 versus 1. I never think a game is perfect, and Viticulture's flaw is the luck of the draw with the cards can be a little funny. The Tuscany does throw in the advanced cards, which are more balanced, and I like the mini expansions that came out that threw some balanced cards in. But you can still have that situation where you just don't draw the vine you want, or you don't draw the purple card. Like, it happens. This is kind of on the cusp of how weighty the game is, where I'm willing to put up with it any heavier. I mean, if Vineyard had this level of luck, then that would be bad. So, exactly, wouldn't it? And yeah, Jim makes a good point that making a beer making worker placement game, wasn't there one called Brew Crafters that was exactly that, but it didn't take off.
Not played it.
It was like complicated as all get out, I think I recall. But yeah, I mean, one of them does exist, but I would like a streamlined one anyway. Right, Idoki, right? So I've got my ones. So, yeah, moving on.
I'm excited.
So, number 10. I wonder how much you can remember your top 50s actually, because I wrote down the ranks as well. But you're on there. So, number 10 was on Sunniva's list, but only at number 48. So this is lowish on
that
the
could
list.
be anything.
But the fact that it's even on the top 50 in the first place is kind of like, seriously, what? But Raccoon Tycoon, seriously. This is getting a ton of
Was
buzz.
that in my... What?
Yes, it was your 48.
Oh, I'm ashamed.
Why?
Oh, wait a minute.
It isn't there now. But go on.
Yeah, no, 48. Yeah, it was 48 on Sunniva, this, I believe. I got it right. I'm glad it's not there now. But Raccoon Tycoon, I am just like, no. This game, I've played it. My friend has it, and I've got some friends who are big fans of it. But I get the idea that it's simple. You know, all right, fine. Nice, easy rules. Anybody can get into it. But if I'm going to introduce people to games, I want to pick something fun. not a bare bones engine, like, you know, resource management. Well, I like resource management, but not this resource chart trading thing where it's like, oh, buy high, sell low. You know, rarely do I go for that in a lot of games. But here, all you do with these 6 resources, which are all exactly the same, there's no difference between them. They are just basically, you know, they call them bottles or coal or iron, but it's just a pricing thing. You're just getting these cards. You're either getting a set collection of cards, which granted, the artwork is great. I do really like these like bears and cats and that they've got on the cards. That is cool. But they're just set collection by way of auction. And then the only other alternative is to buy these rooms, which do nothing but get you points. So it's literally just buy high, sell low, get points. The end. It's a mini adventure. I don't get why everybody sort of comes out of this game going, oh yeah, that was thrilling. That was totally it.
So you want to take this?
Yeah, I want to take this. Okay. It's not in my top number. No, it's not in my top 50 anymore, but I will still defend this game because it is very good. Johannes actually liked it more than me, I think.
Yeah, and it's strange that you had it in your top 50.
I don't know what happened, but I'm just like curious if you think this is too simple and not fun. I have some more on this list coming that will sound familiar to you. So I actually find a thrill waiting around to see if somebody has sold the coal that I need to sell because I need to sell them high. And if I can't do that, my whole plan is taking me a lot of time and I can't afford to wait those rounds to get points. What do you think the point of the game is? It's to get points. Hello. That is not a new concept to you, I believe. So
are you in savage mode right now?
Yeah. Sorry.
It's how I get them. I've started with urges and rage, but it's how I get the points, you know. And my points is literally just grabbing these 2 sets of cards. Pick one. Do you go for greens or do you go for reds? That's it.
It's not that simple, does it? Because you can choose to go for something, but then your playmate Johannes, for example, will choose to go for the same thing and ruin it for you. So you have to think different. So yeah.
And I also like because
simple is fine. I'm fine with simple games. In fact, that's probably the shining point of this. The artwork and the simplicity of it is the good part.
Yeah.
It's just when you sort of sink down, it's like, what are you actually doing in this game? You're basically playing a card for populating this market, waiting for a time when you feel like buying and selling, and then deciding if I want red or green cards. The buildings, most of them are a waste of space. There's a couple I think are way too powerful. Like you get points for buildings, but you can't use buildings as a strategy to win the game. So it seems pointless actually scoring for them. But what I was trying to think, every time I've played this, I don't know if you noticed this. Does the money go out of control by the time you get to the end game? Because when you start off, you're bidding like minimum bid on those red cards. But then when you get to about like 2/3 of the way through the game, people have got so much cash that the whole minimum bid thing for the red seems kind of redundant.
It really, and this is one thing that I have enjoyed about this game is that it is very different from time to time when I play it. Like sometimes you end up with bidding wars. Like for example, the first time I played this was in Essen with Tom Vassell, and he loves this kind of bidding things. And then we ended up bidding like crazy amounts. Like we had this crazy bidding wars, and other times like with 90 and 100 going for one of these things. And also I've played games where you never get to that because people sell and you don't, and people rush the game. You can go for rushing strategies, but those are like different reasons to like the game. But for me, you have to like, if you don't, and I don't know, I don't know exactly how you feel about this genre and all, but I don't think like stock manipulation is your, or market manipulation is your kind of thing. But it is mine. And I think this is if you like those kind of games, I think this is a great way to introduce those mechanisms in a very simple game. And I've played this game 5 players in an hour, and I think that's a great time to play it as well. So it's not going too long. I think that hours go by fast. I think it has just enough of that. Oh no, you did that before me. It has enough of that. Trying to get those. If a building comes up that can help with your strategy, and I don't agree with you that those are useless because there's many very good buildings depending on how far you go into buildings, because that also will be different each time you play. And this game is just one of those. It's not a game I will choose to play very often, but when I play it, especially when I have players that I would like to introduce to more heavy economic games, I think this is a great choice for that. That's why I like it.
It's got that bit, yeah. I mean, it's definitely not my genre. I mean, I'd like some simplistic stuff like Stockpile and Airlines Europe or something, which like take stock manipulation in like very small doses or something. But nah, I mean, it's not a theme I tend to go for. I mean, I'm an accountant. The last thing I want to do is more things. I mean,
that makes sense.
Some economic games work, when you put a fancy, theme with it. Also, I was pointing at this war of mine for a second. That's not it. The Predator from Portal's like still on the shelf. I still really love that one. That's economic, but the whole fashion industry thing just makes it a bit more interesting than do I buy generic coal, iron, or luxury good. But well, I was saying, not many people have commented on it. One person said it bores them, but they're just like me. They're not big on stock market manipulation. So that's probably a little bit, little bit semi-biased there. But well, we'll see. Yeah. We'll see as we move on to 9s. Woo-hoo. Right, your 9.
Our number 9 is Viscounts, and this was high on your top 10 from the 2020. Yes, and we are very much a fan of Architects of the Viscount, and we also liked Paladins.
Yes,
and so we were really excited for Viscounts as well. But I just hated when games like force you to play in a certain way to even have fun in the game. So I don't know if we played it like correctly, but I don't like when games like tell you can play however you want, but if you play that way, it's gonna be boring for you. So we found ourselves in a situation where we needed to stall the game purposely to even have fun, and that doesn't sound. Yeah.
What everybody who commented on the video, like who disagreed with us,
we did a little negative review for this one.
We're kind of like saying, oh, but you have to play like this and this, and as you said, like when you're like, okay, then you're into, not saying it's the same, but then you're into like Puerto Rico, where there are like correct moves to do, and it's not the same here, of course, but it's kind of like, oh, but it's all players have to agree to make the game longer. Then why? But to kind of balances out these decks. Because for me, when we played, basically the best thing for me was just to do an action and do that action till the end. Because if I tried doing something else, it would be worse, and especially for a couple of the strategies. And then the game wasn't really interesting for me, just going and doing an action and then doing that action for an hour, and then, yay.
I could make several failed references with that, but I'm choosing not to. But man, I mean, look at that. It's a very beauty. But I mean, I don't get the whole Puerto Rico.
You're not talking about how the game looks.
Yeah, it looks great.
It looks good.
Yes, we agree on that.
If people are talking to you sort of like, oh, you got to play it this way, like a Puerto Rico style, I'm kind of a bit confused on that because I don't think they should be. Because I haven't experienced that sort of thing where it's like, oh, if someone does this, you must do this. It's like, no, if someone is doing that, I'm still looking at what I'm doing. But with this, I mean, ignoring the solo mode, which I do love in this as well, it's just the mechanics and it just gels so well for me. I've got 4 very distinct paths I can go for that all sort of play out quite differently. And I love that tableau management with, I mean, I like little deck builders anyway, if they're sort of, I prefer a pure deck builder, but if you're going to sandwich it into a Euro game, at least do it right. But I love the variety I get with like trying to micromanage the 3 dudes on your tableau. Sort of like, I want to keep that around. Yes. I want that to fall off. And then you've got those townsfolk round, which there's a lot of different ones in there. And you're not necessarily just hiring them. You can get rid of them as well. Like, I just quickly need those icons, right? Ditch you. And they can lend to some cool strategies on top. And I like the end game with the debts and deeds being a factor that you're sort of looking at each pile thinking it's like, I'm draining more than the other. Although I will preface that the red one tends to run out more often than the black.
Yeah.
That
Always.
is
Have it happened the other way for you?
I have had it the other way when me...
Like once?
In a couple of games where somebody has gone heavy criminal, it can run out. But yeah,
did they win?
They didn't. I did just. But
I don't see that is my main problem with the game. I really like the little tableau with the 3 persons.
That's really good.
I think that is stellar. I also think like the space placing your little horse guy,
placing your little horse guy,
like on the inner circle of the board or the outer is interesting. But I had a really nice first play of the game, and then it's just like whoop, and I didn't feel like it had the staying power, and I don't know. They've tried to balance the black and like the depth and deeds, but I don't see that they made it that good.
It's a slight weak. I mean, it's a small nitpick I have with it. That is like, yeah, I would have like maybe it was balanced a bit more, but then sort taking some depths can be cool. But I mean, I love this manipulation of the board and that. It's something about these dry as a bone, but this is something about the mechanics I do like, and I think a lot of it maybe comes from that tableau and all these townsfolk. Because it's one of my favorite things in Architects, which is one of the ones we do. Have been amazing, and I do put Architects above this one. So this is
for sure
on that one. Just looking at some of the comments we've got on there. So what we got? So no, still unsure.
Yeah, we know this is. We know people love this game, so we have the unpopular opinion here, but
I'm not sure this guy does. He just said just my shopping cart, and I'm guessing that's for Paladins. I don't think that's from my one. So so somebody's not a favorite. Like, save me some bucks. So we're doing a service apparently. And like I say, I'm sure the worst is yet to come. I think this first half of this list, people are kind of more on my side. I guarantee that is going to quickly reverse. It's not going to go that way. Right, dokie. Right. Oop. Easy ways to... no, that's too zoomed in. That's horrible. And that one. Problem is, I try to like have it on my Google Drive on my phone, and my phone keeps trying to turn itself off. It's like, stop it now. Right, now, this one, this one, I was tempted to put this as the 10 because I can only remember so much about this game. I played Raccoon Tycoon more than this one. However, you'd be crying foul if I didn't put at least one Feld on this list.
Wait, is there only one? That's going to surprise me.
There's only two. There's only two on this.
Oh, yeah, there's two.
I thought it was just going to do top 10 Feld games.
Well, like I say, I almost wanted to just copy your top 10, but it's not there. But with this one, it's like, yeah, I played it only a couple of times, but the title kind of says it all. You pretty much just have to replace the A with the letter E in both words, and you will get this game. Bora Bora. Bora, to be more exact.
That is hilarious. Yeah.
It's a pretty game. I'll give it that. Feld's games usually don't look very pretty. This is one of the exceptions where it does look pretty on the table. And that's what kind of drew me in at first, because an old friend of mine at my club is a big dry Euro fan. So he's going to be playing the Felds, the Splotters, antiquity, all the stuff. He doesn't care about theme, and he also doesn't care about looks for half of his games. But but he also APs like crazy, so be careful before you start thumbing him up. But with this one, he sort of tripped me into it because I'm thinking, like, oh, this does look pretty. And this was I didn't know much about Feld at this point. I knew that I wasn't a big fan of one or two games, but I did still have Amerigo in my collection, at that time. And this one, I thought, oh, it looks pretty. Let's go for it. Besides forgetting half of it by the time I'd finished with it or something, because I was just bored at pulling token after token for X purpose here, or as dry. This is for a 2 to 2.5 hour game. This is way too mean. This is so mean, it's unreal, because the dice selection in this I thought was going to be really cool until you are basically stuck with several rounds where you do nothing, like nothing useful, because somebody decides to be a dick and put like the 1 die on a particular space, or I don't need to do that many actions, but you were thinking of doing this. Well, there's a 2. Oh, you've only got 4s there. Shame. It's like, and I'm here for 2.5 hours, not able to do much. You can do something. It's like, yes, I've got a 6 down. Right. Grab tokens. Oh.
I can take this. Do you want to take it?
And I can do token this and token that. It's like, didn't think well, but this one is, I think is this a dual one with yours? Oh no, it's 13 on Sunniva's, but I know you like this one, Joe, don't you?
Oh yeah, I do not remember where it is, but it is. It is
amazing.
It's in there somewhere.
On your list. It wasn't on your list 50 anyway.
Wasn't it?
It should have been.
I think it should be. It probably. I don't remember my list.
I was looking at your one. No, 13 for Sunniva, 22 for you. Yeah, that's what cemented it on the list. Because if it was just Sunniva, I might have left it off.
Mm-hmm. I love this game. I think the thing that you, and this we have spoken about this before, but I feel like the thing you call meanness is what we call interaction. And
we are Care Bears.
Yeah, it's actually very interesting because there are some games that
Care Bears, but yeah.
yeah, absolutely. But it's really interesting because there's many games that we have played and we hear people say, "Oh, this is mean," or "There's a lot of interaction," and I never really thought about it that way because this game has what I feel Stefan Feld is very good at, and that is the way of doing. Because we do have a video that's coming soon about the randomness in games, and we are not usually a huge fan of luck in games, and I think Stefan Feld, in most of his designs, not all, but most of his designs are very good at having that way to mitigate the luck, basically. And I agree with you. If you play Bora Bora and you don't have any god cards in your hand, you are stuck. If somebody goes and put a die and you're going to be like, oh, I can't do anything. And I also agree with you, the fact that there is a lot of blocking in this game. Like somebody can take that jewelry you need, somebody can take that man or woman that you need, and there's just so many. You have to race for doing these things. But for me, that is what makes the game amazing. That tenseness from the beginning to the end. Like it's so and you have it to get like as I said, without those good cards, it's basically draw and hope you get what you need. But with those, you can add, you can go where somebody is already, and there's so many ways to mitigate that, so that kind of luck doesn't bother me. But I do absolutely agree. If you don't want to play a game where somebody can take what you want, then don't play Bora Bora.
Yeah, I think the setup, like between each round, is the biggest setback from playing this game, because there's a lot of setup like in game, that is a little boring. But I think this is a make it or break it game.
Make it or break it,
and that is mostly because of the end game scorings, because those are hard to get, and you have to get all of them to even get any points. And many of them are like in combination and intertwined with each other, and it's like one action can cost you that many points. So it's a brutal game, but it's surprising that I like that brutalness so much. But in this game, I just love the game.
Yeah, because there's other games where you don't.
Yes.
But like it's so interesting because just talking about this game just makes me so excited to play it when we're doing the playthrough for it. So thank you for bringing it up.
I know the feeling with some of the games and that. But I mean, you mentioned the setup. Yeah, that did take a while because we were like 2.5 hours later, and I felt like I barely achieved anything. But I also don't feel like I had many turns. Literally, it's like I remember doing a few dice placements and taking some tokens. But did we spend most of that just passing this stuff around between like admin? Quite a lot of it. And I mean, when I played a different game that I know isn't on either of your lists, so was it Lorenzo Magnifico one? That's another one I can't stand, but that one reminded me of Bora Bora when I played it, because it was another one of those games where make or break. You know, it's like, all right, round starts, here's the dice, and they took that space. Like, I haven't even had a chance to move yet, and now all my actions are nerfed this round, and then I don't feel like I've achieved anything. You know, I don't mind getting blocked off spaces. That's all well, as long as there's a good thing there. Like one game is on my good list, Le Havre. Providing you use the house rule in Le Havre, it's a really cool game. But it with the loans, otherwise I've seen it prove that it's a bit unbalanced without it. But in Le Havre, if someone does take a spot you like, there's something else that's pretty good. You know, here's another building that's also pretty cool to buy. Oh, someone took all the bread. Well, I'll take all the fish. You know, I get something good on that round, even if someone blocks me out of it. If someone blocks
I feel like that is a lot of the times it's like that in Bora Bora as well. But sometimes, yeah, you can get like utterly screwed and don't have anything to do. But most of the time, I am like, okay, I didn't get that, but at least I can get over to the temple or grab a dude or something. There's always something you can do, I feel like.
Well, this one's definitely like one for, was it one in your favor anyway? Because I know there was some positive stuff. Yes, yep. there's a love for Bora Bora. There's Richie said like his favorite Feld. I still think Amerigo is my favorite Feld. It's not in my collection, but I would happily play Amerigo because I think that cube tower was pretty cool. Yeah, similar thing known as the Rado Care Bear, which I must admit, Rado is quite opposed to meanness with a lot of it. That does tend to factor. I mean, I don't mind meanness, but it's usually based on the length. A mean game that's 2.5 hours long is a bit much, but a mean game that's 30 minutes, fine. It's like, let's all, let's beat each other up in King of Tokyo for 30 minutes. It means all get out, but it's like, I'll still happily play that one. Couple aren't as big fans, but they're still fine. But no, I think most people are kind of more Bora Bora than not on this occasion. I think that's cool. All right. That one was me, so that means moving on to 8. Had the comment on
Number 8.
Still teething troubles, but we'll get on there. Carry on.
I think it looks good. It looks really good for us, so I love it. Number 8 for me is a game that you seem to love a lot. And this is another one I'm really interested on if it's just theme. This is your number 19 game, Pursuit of Happiness.
I didn't think you would put that on the list. Well, that does make me sad. Very sad. I mean,
this is one of those.
It's called Happiness.
And I wasn't really happy the times I played it. This is one of those games where I felt like it was fun to, at the end, have like, oh, look at my character. I did this and this, and I enjoyed that. But to play like an average worker placement for the time it took just to get to that, I would rather just make up a story. Like, oh, I'm going to be a magician. No, that's what I am. No, I can be a plumber. And I will go like, I would rather just play an RPG where I'm a plumber or something like that. Like this is, and I know you play like the expansions and maybe those add things that make the game better. But for me, I only play the base game just to caveat that. And I thought the game was okay. But I played it a couple of times and I'm like, never need to play this again because it was just like a pure average worker placement game with the Team of Life.
But oh no, so wrong. My number 19.
No,
I never have a bad time playing this game. This game is, this Game of Life, the Euro edition, is the best way I describe it. I love sandboxy style games where I do get to kind of pick what it is I'm going to do. And in this one, I can do exactly that. It's like, do I want to have a bunch of little mini projects and grow a bonsai tree? Do I want to become a ninja and leader of a biker gang when I hit my 60s? Do I want a high paying job? Am I going to date Suzanne, Catherine, or am I going to date Keith? It's, what way do I want to play it? And I just love having that sense of variety in a rule set that's pretty straightforward because it really just requires you to do actions on the cards. And struggling to find the best imagery, I must admit, because there's like a million images for this game. But this one's another one of those occasions where the theme just rocks it for me. I mean, besides looking great on the table, even though you are just basically buying a bunch of cards and leveling up and like, all right, I get this resource, which becomes this resource. Everyone's telling stories about what their life is or mocking each other's. I've got some friends who, if we play this, we are falling out of our chairs laughing, mocking each other's lives. And some players I know will, they're like, that technically is a better card for me today, but you know what? That's just funnier. They don't care if it slightly tanks their game. It just generates all that. Add in those expansions, as I said, you've got helping out the community, things like walking their dog or setting up a massive gala party. People start making topical jokes about some of the stuff you do in here. And I've even done some controversial stuff in this one as well, because like you stress out if you do too much. Most people in this like get one partner. I decided for a laugh to play a game where I tried to micromanage 2. It didn't go well.
And I feel like the theme is good here. Like how much of this your enjoyment? You have this at number 19. Like you only played 18 games better than this, And how much is that the theme?
A good like 40-50% probably is, but then themes got to make a good game because mechanics are repeated so often anyway.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's not difficult to make a game that has a Euro mechanic of a worker place here, take this space, take an action or something, which is why I play a bunch of games lately, and I'm much less of. I don't really necessarily subscribe to cult of the old, but I'm certainly not a cult of the new, because a lot of the times a new game comes out and it's like, right, well, this is fine, but there's already this. Why do I need this? So a theme's got to entice me back in, and there's nothing wrong mechanically with this. It's a simple worker placement game with some card management selection, which a lot of dry Euros will have as well. But this one will keep me immersed. I'm not feeling like I'm in downtime mode between other people's turns because I'm too busy looking at everybody's lives or just laughing at what I'm doing. Last one I did Travinga, I forget who I was playing it with, but I put in a mini expansion for the kids. And I mean, I don't want kids in real life anyway. So I thought, okay, this will be a laugh. I tried to basically pull a Tom Vassal and have like about 6-7 kids by the end of the game. I got to 5 and then had to bottle out before it got too much to micromanage. But it's like I say, I can just do that stupid story and have a laugh, and then by the end of it, we're still talking about the game in question. Like we'll say, like, oh, your life was like this, or that was funny when you took that. I'm not playing a game of some Euro coal mining edition or something and going, oh, that was brilliant when you harvested that coal. That was amazing. Be grabbing stone so hard. It doesn't have moments like that. I adore this one. And this is my number 19 game, and this is your number 8. Have you literally just taken my top 10? Because I don't know how.
No.
But
I haven't played this, so I have nothing to say.
But are you interested in playing it? Like after hearing?
It sounds like it basically is a game, but like the theme is what makes it, and that is okay. I have played a lot of games where I wouldn't come back for it if it wasn't a good theme, but I don't know if I need to play this.
I think we're zoomed in again.
Yeah, we're definitely zoomed.
Is that my big head?
Yes.
But, yeah, it's kind of like there's not many comments on this one, but it's kind of, I mean, I only see 2, and it's kind of equal Steven. One would rather play Lorenzo or Concordia, which fair enough, that is fine that you think those 2 are bad games, which is fine. But then one person likes Pursuit is kind of like sort of even Steven, but
And you froze.
Hello.
Man, I've had fun. Oh, and we're back. That was odd. I think that might have just been internet or something. I think we're good. But, if something does cut out, then don't worry. We will come back. All right. It will not die. It will just be a case of, all right, give us 2 minutes or something. But, that is such a shame. I love this one. Oh, well. Okay. Moving on to a game that deserves all the hate. This one, let's see. I think this is just poor Sunniva, actually. I think, and it's not even that high on your list. I think it was just 48 on your 50. Fairly recent, but I don't get what the appeal of this was. The same mate who took me into Bora Bora took me into this one, and I got suckered into it because I thought, oh, there's a nice little tile laying Carcassonne-like mechanic where I can build this little map of stuff up and it'll be sweet. But then I realized that was 10% of the game and the rest of it was boring economics. Like, no. It's like, I mean, it looked okay on the cover, and even though it didn't exactly have the most striking board ever, it's kind of like, okay, fine, it's an economic game, it's going for starkness. Let's just see if it's like cool. And I thought I was going to get more out of that pipe mechanic. Like, you get to build your own pipe network. It's like, okay, cool. I'm building something in front of me. I'll go with it. Hopefully that's something I can focus on rather than the money. Oh, no. Because you pretty much about 8 tiles down, a couple of machines, and then you're kind of good for the whole game. It's like, there's your pipe network, and it will do what you want it to do. So the main crux of this is just a case of hope you get the tile before someone else nicks it, which is always a pain. And then buy and sell. So a bit like Raccoon Tycoon, it's just generic buy this and sell high. It's like every economic game is this, but they don't feel like they do anything different. But I really do not understand one thing in this game. The technologies. I'm okay for techs. Techs are cool. I want all cool abilities. But why, when taking a tech, should you lock off not only the column you take it from, but also another column of the player's choice? I don't get that rule. There's no reason for it to lock off another tech column other than for the game to say, we just want to put meanness in this game. Because if you don't grab a tech early, you're not getting a tech. Or not a decent one anyway. So I just did not, and like 3 of us playing it, first game, still 3 hours later, and I thought this was meant to be a speedy game. I'm sure we could get it done quicker than 3 hours in future plays, but
you should.
Yeah. But still, this is not like a 60-minute quick affair, and it kind of it does what Merv did as well, which is like, here's your rounds. It's 3 rounds. We go through these 3 rounds. It's like, okay, this will be fairly even. No, it's like the first round was done within about like quarter of an hour. And I thought, oh yeah, this is cool. This will be a really speedy game. This is good. Then the second round took about 45 minutes. And then the third round took about an hour and a half. It's like, okay, it kind of compounded on itself and fooled me into thinking it was going to be a quick game.
I get that sometimes. I feel like, oh, this is going super quick. And then no.
Yeah, the game looks kind of nice with the pipes. Don't be fooled by the pipes. It's an evil game.
Don't be fooled by the pipes. That's what I feel like.
Yeah, this is a hard game. We played this. What?
How's the pipes telling me it's a good game or an evil game?
But it looks so nice with the colors and the pipes. But yeah, you're not planting that many tiles, so it's very like important to get what you want, and it's expensive too to have a place buy a lot of tiles. We played this recently, and it just really made me sure that it deserves a spot in my top 50 because it's a stellar game. I liked those aspects that you don't like. I think selling, trying to. It's like an optimization puzzle for me, trying to be the most efficient so that I can get the oil that I need at the level that I need it, and maybe I can also fulfill some contracts or do some, I don't know, missions, I don't know, orders, things. Theme in this game, you guys, it's excellent. But I agree what you say. It's no reason I see like, oh, I think the blocking mechanism is a really good mechanism. I haven't given it any thought actually, but it makes the game a little harder. And it's hard enough as it is, so I can kind of see what you mean there.
It is a brutal game. This is one of those games where every single action matters, and you start with nothing, and you want to end with everything. And you do that if you're Sunniva. You don't often do that if you're me. But sometimes I do okay. But this is one of those games where everything is it's so hard. Like the actions, just 8 simple actions. But then you get where they land together so you can do bonus actions, and then you want to go and buy the right color, but you also want to sell the color, and you can't do that at the same place, so you have to do 2 actions for that, and you only have like very few actions throughout the year. And the last year you only have like 4 actions, and you have to fulfill all those orders that you started fulfilling in the first year, else you will lose money. And it's just one of those super tight games. Like, it's extremely tight, and I love it. Love it.
Oh, but that, I mean, I had that picture a minute ago or something. It's like, that's bigger than any network I've seen. But that's what I was greeted with. It's like, there, Luke, there's your tile lane mechanic. Thanks. A blue and an orange.
Have you checked out Curious Cargo?
Sorry?
Have you checked out Curious Cargo?
No, I saw your video on it, but it's not one I've paid much attention to. Is it similar to this? Or same designer?
It's same designer, but it's a lot lighter, and it's a 2-player game, and you get to place a lot more tiles. So I think you might like it. It's pretty decent.
That probably would be, but I think it's probably because it was 2-player only. I haven't gone much. Yeah. I mean, someone mentioned earlier that they love your channel for being able to do more 2-player perspectives, which is good because I can't do that, if any, at all. So it's good that like I can sort of go, it's like, well, what do you think of this game with 2-player? And it's like, well, you might want to ask these two because they're better at that than I am. So it's like the violin, but with this one, I don't know, I just could not. It took the line, and then again, I sort of thought like, right, this is buy high, sell low with oil. You know, it's like oil was the theme of the game. It's like, okay, so fine, you pull the fast one there by not putting coal or iron in this game, but then you still gave me oil. It's like, come on, buy or sell something. Like, make it like Christmas gifts or something. You know, make it anything. Just coal, iron, and that. It didn't work. But it was getting a lot of buzz, although I don't hear many people talk about it these days. It kind of, when it came out, everybody raved about it, and I thought, oh god, really? But then it suddenly died. I don't know if it just went out of stock or people moved on, Cult of the New or something. But I know there's a fan base for this game. But I'm curious on that one, really. But no, it's kind of even Steven on that one. This game reminds me of Waterworks. I'm not sure what that game is. Curious on that one. Deceptively heavy game. So yeah, I mean it is heavier than it actually looks. I mean, you do have to think and pay attention to those markets. I'll give it that. Not quite sure what that was meant to be related to. It looks like a horse's house. Is that what that's supposed to be?
I think it's an ant. That makes more sense.
Right. Wasn't quite sure what the icon was saying there, but then there's a fan of it as well. I enjoy Pipeline, a tight game indeed. Well, like I say, live and learn. Next up.
Okay, so it's ready for number 7, and
game of all time. Also, you're going after the heavy hitters on my one.
This is number 61 of your all-time list. This is Seasons.
Oh.
And you were very enthusiastic when you talked about this game in your top 100 look. I don't know if you remember.
Yes.
And I think you're halfway correct. But I think it's a shame to see like these cool, chunky dice wasted on such a boring game.
I'd be nicer than you have. I'm going to say that now.
Sunniva is really in savage mode here.
Yeah. So I think you said it yourself. You said like half of the fun of the game is rolling these dice, and that doesn't sound like a really good game, does it? So the rest of the game, it really doesn't engage me though. Like I feel like you're trying with the drafting. You're getting.
And there you played Seasons.
Yeah. Enough of these dice. These dice are so good.
Oh, those are awesome.
So you don't need to play the game now because you basically did the most fun of the game. You played with the dice.
I love
Done. Next game.
What do you like? Why do you like the card aspect then?
I just feel like it's pretty standard trying to play cards, and you're trying to play all the cards that you have because you're getting negative points for having things left in your hand. So it really isn't that much to think about. I think I'm not sitting there, what card should I play? If I have those resources for the card, I'm going to play it. And getting those resources, well, that is lucky based on the roll of the dice. I like that you get different dice in the different seasons, but you don't get to stay that long in the seasons. So I don't feel very much impacted by that.
That depends on the dice you take, though. I mean, you draft the dice. It's not like you roll them. It's not like you roll one die and then pick it. You've got...
Yeah. But the dice drafting aren't that... I don't feel like I'm making these very interesting decisions when I'm drafting the dice either, actually.
I actually think that's the most important, most interesting about the game, is that little dice draft. But the rest for me is just... Like I agree, like the beginning draft is okay of the cards. You get 3 and 3 and 3. I enjoyed that. But then it's basically, you got those cards which were a lot better than me and you drew them. And I drew this card which doesn't give me as many points. I lose.
Oh.
The end.
The mini adventure. I get so much of a giggle. And it's not just the dice before people say it. It's like 9 out of 10 for the dice and then 1 out of 10 to fit the rest of the mechanics.
Yeah, I feel like it's that way. Yeah.
Using it, guys, like deciding at the start of the game, like, right, these are good to have early, these are good to have late. If I combo these in this round, I mean, people go on about Res Arcana, and I don't get the huge love for that, but then that's
no, we don't either.
Going, like, here's some cards, let's combo these abilities off. With some expansions I've got in there, I've got even more cards to fish around with. But I love the fact that the timer is also not fixed. So I have had times where you speed through the summer season, but then I've had times where we've been on every single square in autumn because people draft the dice and leave and decide, do I want to leave that? And if you remember like Pioneer Days and a few other games like that, I love it in a dice drafter where there's one die left that has an impact. So
yes, me too. I like that.
Yes.
This one mucks up the timer. The Pioneer Days does the calamities and stuff. I love it when I've got that extra decision. It's not just simply, well, I'll just choose one of these dice. It's like, I'll choose that one. Oh, but then we're going to fast forward into winter. Oh, this is a problem. And the game is not that particularly long either. I mean, 2-player of this, like an hour tops. It's just done. Boom. Nice and done. It's almost like kind of giving me like a kind of Magic the Gathering feel, but with an interesting die mechanic on top. And some items can mess around with a timer. I mean, you get to the end and it's like, right, we're about to finish. Nope, boots. I'll go back.
I don't feel like it's very thematic though. I feel like the theme is pasted on. You could have like almost any theme here. You know, it's
that's fair
even
enough.
It's animals, humans, coal production, oil network. You have seasons anywhere. So really,
the seasons of the oil baron.
The theme is generic fantasy. Yeah, I mean, it looks pretty. I mean, I love the artwork and aesthetics in it, so that helps. But yeah, I don't go into this thinking, oh, this is a thematic Magic the Gathering game or something. I mean, you could replace it with that. Although you can bet I wouldn't have paid it even half a second if it was like Coal Baron the Dice Seasons game or something. I mean, how would that work? I could imagine maybe it's been a spin-off of Snowdonia, possibly because of the weather effect of that one. That'd be interesting to see, actually. But
yeah,
I would go with that. But you can't turn these down. So good. What we got comment-wise on there? First up, right, you're my new favorite commenter. It's like, no. Haven't yet to want a game. Pascal, do the expansions improve the game? The new mechanics they throw in are good, but they're not essential. They're kind of like, if you want more meat, you can throw them in. Mainly, get the expansions if you want more cards. Because once you've got all those extra cards in there, you don't have the same cards turning up at all. So, it's always a nice choice. People are hit and miss on Res Arcana. Trying to think what else there was. Although my favorite comment out of that whole lot was that one. That was the favorite one.
Yeah.
Because as soon as I started reaching for the game, everybody who watches my channel knows exactly what's coming next. Because it's now if the seasons ever gets mentioned, I have to pull the game off the shelf and just be playful with the dice. One near the end of the break, I was a bit careful there. It's like I nearly had like a red die in my squash. But I love this one. Oh well. Okay, so what's this one? We're on is on 7s, right? Yeah.
Yes.
And this is why I felt mean. That I think the lower half of my list is mostly Sunniva, and then it gets on to both of you. But oh no, there's one or two that is just Joe. So yeah, don't worry. I'll leave you alone and be nice soon, ish. But this one,
never.
I can take it.
This was on the running for being one of my worst games ever at one point. It kind of like, but it's not anymore because other games have supplanted it as being worse than that. And objectively, yes, I have to think, okay, yeah, something like Exploding Kittens would be a lot worse than this game by miles. But there is some merit to it. But this one, I remember I went to a club that focused entirely on heavy Euros, but they only played the driest of heavy Euros. No Vital Assertor.
Oh, poor you.
It was horrible. But but this was like, I mean, trains were a big theme in that one or something. It's like, oh, thank you. But I could not stand this game. It drones on for ages. You end up stuck in this one auction phase for countless ages while everybody takes forever to mathematize their next turn, because as soon as somebody outbids you by one, you then have to do a million calculations before you can get onto the next one. But I'm sorry, this game sucks.
Yeah.
2 out of 10.
No.
I hate this game. I hate Power Grid. It's not. I mean, again, we're back to this whole coal and iron thing. It's like, seriously, can we not pick? Even if you just made it generic sci-fi or something, just anything different. But with this one, I love the one redeeming feature is this: the resource market. Yes. Fine, I'm cool with that. An ever-changing resource market where the price goes up and down depending on who buys it and who doesn't. I'm cool with that. The rest of it, though, besides how bad it looks, I laugh my head off whenever I see people play this with less than 6 players, or is it 5? I can't remember the max, because I've never seen any other game ever where it requires you to put tissue paper on half the board to cover up the segment and not see. It's like, seriously? I know this is an old game, but the idea that you have to cover things up with something like paper, because inevitably in every game you don't do that, somebody will mistake where the borders are, and like completely mess up their game. It's not like you can just recover. But the auctions are what make or break, because I like bidding when it's fast bidding. So like small biddings, Biblios, perfect example. You just do quick 2, 4, 6, I'm done. 1, 2, 4, done. Nice and quick, repeated. This is 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 123, 1050. Oh, hang on a minute. I need 24 to buy that route afterwards, and that's going to cost me 6 unless someone buys an oil. That means I carry the 3, hang on, but times pi to the power 12, hang on. 10 minutes later, then they rebid, and you're still going. It's like, get on with it. You end up waiting so long unless you're in the auction, because people have got to calculate so much. I played Power Grid, the card game, and as much as I wasn't a huge fan of that one, I would sooner play that because the numbers are a lot smaller. It doesn't take people long to gauge 20 in their head. But when you do these power plants that start off at 28, 38, but then go into the hundreds, and it's not crystal clear how much it will cost you to buy, or was it the network connection afterwards, whatever they call, it really, I still hate it to this day. I mean, it's still one of my least favorite games, but there are games I do hate more than it. But I remember just getting shown it, and this is one that got played too often as well, because I had to, at some people, I don't see it played that much at the moment, but there was a period where a lot of people were doing this, and it's kind of like, right, well, I either sit and do nothing or play Power Grid, and with 5 of us, we're going to be here for 3 hours. Oh, Christ. It's like, not good. Oh, but go on.
I obviously like this game a lot. I liked it better before than I do right now, because we played it a lot.
Yes.
And it's not that exciting to play when you know we're going to win anyways. But
nobody else has ever won this game when we played it. Like, seriously, nobody have won this game except for Sunniva.
Yeah, so I'm not that.
No, like, we have played this maybe 10 times, and Sunniva has won every single time.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so I like it, not because I'm winning, but I just feel like it's clever. I'm not the biggest fan of auctions, and I don't feel like they're taking the longest time. It could have been more AP prone to our group than it is, but it takes time when people need to recalculate. But I think the resource market is what makes this game that cool that I think it is. And it excites me. I'm just like, oh, don't buy that one, or please let it be some coal, because I need coal for my words. English, is that a thing?
English is a thing. It's a language.
What is it called? Power plants.
Power plants.
Yes. Yeah. So I think it's a very good game. But
what you're dealing in? Come on, that's not what's the game called.
That's true. That is true.
How much theme is in this game, people? The name is.
I like this game as well. It has fallen a bit for me.
Yeah, because it wasn't in your list. So
no, it wasn't. It had fallen a bit because we have played it so many times in a short time. But this is one I also like. I enjoy everything here. Like, this is one of the most mathy games that I don't mind math in games, but this one is one of those where you would like to sit with a calculator, and I really understand, like, and especially as you say, like, and that makes sense. Like, you work with numbers all the time, and it makes sense that you don't want to do that for 3 hours at the evening to sit and calculate things again. But I don't, and I also like when you say I think this theme is actually kind of neat. I think it makes sense that we are trying to make when I start talking about theme, it sounds strange, but like I enjoy this kind of setting. I'm going to call it setting because it's not a theme; it's a setting. And I wouldn't. This would be a very strange game if it was elves and orcs.
Yeah, I think
it could be oil. It is oil.
There is oil.
Too.
There's oil. Like, was it oil, coal, nuclear, and garbage or something? I mean, I always like doing the garbage route. If I make a mess of the game, at least I've got an excuse. I'm dealing in garbage, but. I don't know. I mean, the mathiness in games is fine. I play some like those, but the maths in this just goes off the scale because it's not like 10, 20, 30 like easy amounts. The auctions can be whatever value you want, and then if you look on the board there, when you've got the root connections of 10, 14, 12, and it's not even just 10, 14, 12, isn't there like a like I can't remember, like an additional amount you've got to pay on sometimes, if depending on how it's built. I'm not sure. Maybe it is just the fixed.
Yeah, if there's spots 10, 20, and 15 and 20, I think it costs to build there. But it costs more if you have to go through someone else's town if it's occupied.
Yeah, so every time like people are playing this, they're constantly having to think of like, right, I need to do this for the auction, this for the route, but if so and so goes there, I need to factor in that much as well. Can I afford to bid another one on this auction? This is like, it's already at 123. Are you micromanaging this to such an extent that 124 is going to make and break your game? Possibly. Some people will, but couldn't have had. But this one I think is easily going to be one that's more on your side than anything else. We got love me some bone dry euros. Bone dry euros can be fun, and I'll explain some of them when this list is done. Boxing gloves on, yeah. This was definitely going to be one there. Sadly, Chrissy believes I'm wrong on this, and like I said, I know there's a lot of fans for Power Grid, although not this fan. Yeah. I'm guessing 100,000%. I don't know if that's directed at me or you on that one, but
probably Chris's comment.
Probably, yeah. I'm guessing that's more for you. Not played and not compelled to. You don't have to. There's other games, but Power Grid is amazing. We play it at 5 and 6 player. Everybody really enjoys it. That's because they haven't played any other games. Hey, come on, we're gonna go down this route on there. Although I love this one, and maybe if you put, and I agree with Lionel, maybe if you put dice like this in the game, it'd be better. Some flashy dice. Long bidding sucks so much. Freedom and Freeze is great. I must admit, I don't think there's a Freedom and Freeze game apart from Friday that I'm a big fan of. I've just never really gone for it. Team Luke, Team Board Game Ramblings. Yeah, there's certainly more than not of we like Power Grid versus hate it, but blimey, we need to get a move on. So let's move on to the next one. Otherwise, we'll be stuck on this forever. Okie doke. So, what's next? What am I going to cry over next?
Number 6 is, and before we start, I like party games. I like a lot of party games. I also really like a lot more than you. I like deduction games, but I like them when they're fun. I like them when they have a game in there, not just a box that says, here are some loose rules. Try to do something and see what happens. That is your number 37. It's Deception, Murder in Hong Kong.
That was the second choice. It wasn't the first one I thought of, but
what
still.
Was the first one?
When you said party game and Dutch, because I can't remember if you like Dixon or not, I thought you were going to put Detective Club in there. And it's like, you dare put that on your list.
Haven't played it.
It's coming.
So Deception was one I thought I liked it. And then I played it a couple of more times, and I absolutely did not. It's just so abstract and so full of like the whole game. The game is basically 10 out of 10. Yeah, makes no sense. The game is basically, here are some components, talk about it. There's really no rules. It's basically guess. Like I'm saying, oh, it happened at work. Cool. Then you can say, oh, maybe it happened with a fork because he has a fork in the kitchen. And I can understand, like you have the actual murderer and the accomplice, but they're trying to take it away from what it is and not towards it. So to get towards it, you're just basically guessing based on very abstract hints. And there's many games that does this for me in a much better way. And of course, now I'm blanking on all of those. So I enjoy those kind of games where you have that. Oh, I'm trying to give hints. Yeah, Mysterium. I enjoy those kind of games where you're trying to give hints and trying to do that. But for me, it's just ended up being, if one person is not comfortable taking room and speaking, this is going to go horrible. They're going to have a horrible time, and everybody's going to have a horrible time. But I guess if you play it with 6-7 players and you know everybody very well, and you just make up stories, that might be fine. But for me, this is more, and I hate to say this because people are going to be angry at me. This feels more for me like an activity. Like you're just like sitting around a table and just saying, oh, it might be the hand.
Well, no, I must admit, I haven't played this in a while. I must admit, there was a phase when it was I mean, maybe I would rank it a 9 over a 10 now at this point, but still, I'd rank it high. But there was a phase where we were playing this a lot, and yeah, all that. But I must admit, I love being the forensic in this because as I'm putting the clues out, not only have I got to think about how I'm going to do these clues, and I'm listening to everybody else do it because I love teaching the game as the forensic. But when you say make up the story, I've got to make up the crime. So I've got to say, right, they picked an elevator and a spanner, they picked an elevator and a teddy bear or something as like the 2 items. And I got to think, right, okay, so this dude walked into an elevator. He was a workman friend, and there was a little girl. Oh God, this got dark. It's like it gets. I love making up that story. Huh?
So in a group like of 6 people, you're the only one having fun.
Yeah, the others are having fun. The other ones are having fun with the deception. I like playing the the detective part as well. Try to think like, all right, who is on my side here? One of you I can't trust, but I still like figuring out the puzzle of like, well, he said suffocation. That works, but then that doesn't. And hearing people come up with the most zany ways it's possible to kill someone. It's dark, but it's hilarious. Just listening to like, how can you possibly kill me with that? Seriously, like that's your best argument. And I do like these kind of negotiation group games, Cosmic Encounter and bits like that are all good. It says, and no, social deduction games are not activities. Don't think I didn't spot that in the chat. So I see what people are doing.
I agree. There's many of those that are more games, but for me, this feels just a bit too diluted of rules. And actually,
something that annoys me in this game is that I can know perfectly well who the traitor or the accomplice is. I can know that, but still, with our 3 guesses of the ones that are on my team, we can still lose because it's too abstract. It's very, very hard to actually, even if I think that I've figure it out. And also, if it's very group dependent, so you can be there for like 5 rounds, being like, hearing this chirping sound in the background because nobody wants to speak, and then the last round, I guess I'll guess this.
All social deduction games are a bit like group dependent.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
That's the thing with the genre. It's the same with negotiation games. And I have come across people. Well, I mean, I tend to tell people that it's like, here's some options of what we got to play. This is really good fun, but not one if you're going to sort of hang out at the back. You kind of want to get stuck in. And if somebody does come on and say that I'm a little bit nervous for that sort of thing, I won't play it with them, because I know they won't get much out of it. But also love this one. Just to answer one question before moving on from that one, it's not similar to Awkward Guess. Awkward Guess is a very different game indeed.
It's a good game.
It's a very good game.
Yeah, that was on your list, and I do agree. Yeah, it's literally right behind me. That one, Awkward Guess, is a full-on Cluedo done right style game. Like proper deduction game with some interaction there. This is a party game. It just happens to be you're playing as detectives. So no, they are very different games. But not seeing some you just haven't played with the right group is about the only major comment on this one, which is surprising because I thought there'd be more. But well, moving on. All right, number 6. All right, this is the last Feld. Right, I said I was only going to put 2 Felds on this list, so once we're done with that, we're done with all the Felds. But I've played Merv recently. In fact, it's boxed up over there because I'm playing it later tonight, and I have played the solo mode in that. And like I say, minor spoiler. So far, I'm liking it, but I don't think it's the best thing ever. But it is pretty decent. This is kind of the game that you spoke of on your review, actually, because I did watch it afterwards. This game kind of reminded you a bit of this one. A bit of a difference, though. This one has a lot of mini games that are linked together and are actually good fun. This one, on the other hand, has a bunch of mini games that are stapled together with, or not even stapled. They're basically affixed with the weakest of sticky tape, trying to get Trajan to be anything more than literally. I swear, people went up to Stefan Feld and basically just said, we need a game from you. We're out of ideas. Bring us something. You're a good designer. Go with it. And then he basically goes, well, I haven't got anything ready at the moment, but I got a bunch of this stuff in my sock drawer that I've been there doing for a while. Just a few mini ideas, and they're not related, but I thought I'll do it. Oh, just give us those. It's like, okay, fine. Here they are. Shove them in the blender. Here's your game. Because that's what this game is entirely. It is a blender of mini games. and they don't relate to each other. Yeah, the best part of this is this part, the Mancala. I like 5 tribes, and this is probably it. Even though thematically, how does a Mancala even make sense? And I've got to do it with these little cylinders. Nothing there. But it's like, okay, fine, I'll go with this Mancala thing. But then the rest of the game with this board is like, right, over here I'll level up on a church track because every Euro has to be about the church in some way. Here I've got to get a shipping token. It's its own thing. Here I've got to do this. What was this bit at the top here? I can't remember. You were trying to get meeples in a grid or so, and then another one is get tools, another one is get this token. I mean, it feels like all the other fells. It's like Bora Bora. It's get this chit, get this token from some description. But if I'm doing heavily on one thing, I don't care what's going on the other because they just don't seem to link. So I don't get, this one's kind of more of a case of, yes, I'm not a huge fan of it, but I also don't get the love for it. Surely there's better than Felds. I mean, I'd play something like Bruges first, for example. I'd prefer that. I don't mind
So
Bruges.
what do you think?
Bruges is okay. It's just a bit too much luck of the draw. This is your one, isn't it, Joe?
Yeah. The theme in this?
It could have been, for me,
Oil.
it could have been, this is just paper.
Yeah, so I get what you see with the minigames. They don't connect like in that much sense, and the theme is just like something. Here you go. It's better than nothing, I guess.
It's a setting. It
it's a
isn't
setting.
supposed to be a theme because
I don't think about that. But the Mancala is really cool.
Yes.
And also what I really find clever in this game is the same thing that you like in Seasons, that it doesn't have a fixed ending. When you move the Mancalas, depending on how many steps you move the time tracker towards the ending. And that is really cool. So I want to do this thing, but that is too many pieces. So that means that this is going to be my last turn. I can't do that. So then I have to think differently. I really like that mechanism.
Yeah, and I agree with you, but I don't see how this is like. There's many games where you're just basically doing different minigames. And I understand this feels more like that. It feels more like just 7 different ones. And then it all comes down to if you think the mechanisms are good, because you don't care for the theme, I don't care for the theme. But I really love the planning of the Mancala, and the Mancala is the game.
Yeah.
Like, it's planning of trying, okay, I want to do that action, I want to do that 3 times, but to do that, I also have to do this action in between. This is one of those games where I can plan maybe 10 turns ahead. This is one of those games where I know I'm going to do this, and then I can do that, and I can do that, and I can do that, and I will do that. So, and because it is mostly multiplayer solitaire, you can basically, and I love those games where I can sit and in my brain, I can just sit and go, okay, I'll do that. I get like a beautiful mind moment in this kind of game where, and I get that in another game, which I think you're going to talk about later, where I can just basically plan 6-7 turns ahead and just like execute my plan. And sometimes I have to change it up because people do different things, but I love that here. And that's basically why I love it.
You're mad. I mean, the one track at the bottom, here's one, get a token. I mean, most of them feel the same as well, because the top bit is get a token. One down in the bottom left there is get a token. The one on the bottom right is get a token. Is that everything is tokens when it comes to Felds for some reason?
But they're different tokens.
They look different and they say different things.
It's a different kind of chit cardboard. It's like
yes.
And it definitely is a multiplayer solitaire. Well, and I give you that. The timer is another thing. I mean, it is the Mancala mechanics, the bit that I can go for. But then,
I love it.
Then I love the Mancala mechanic in 5 tribes, but I prefer the stuff you're doing in 5 tribes. And there's a bit more interactivity with that one because you're manipulating a communal board. This one, it's my own Mancala board. What the other players are doing, I couldn't care less. As long as you don't block me out of space, I'm kind of fine. So having like 4 players in this, it's like, what do I care if I have 3 other players in this? Because they're not really influencing me apart from standard block my space. But then in something like 5 tribes, everybody is completely changing this central grid, which is why that one sings to me and this one doesn't. It's payoff. The Mancala mechanic is good, but then I suppose it's similar to the other games I mentioned earlier or something. It's like the payoff for what you're doing doesn't make up for like the bit I'm doing beforehand. It's like I'm doing this cool thing, but then I'm not getting much at the end of it. It's like, I'm enjoying cooking this cake, baking this cake, but at the end it's ruined. It's like, well, it was cool baking it, but I'm left with a burnt husk by the end of the day. It's like, that's not going to work. I don't know. Yeah, ready? Yep. That's we want to try and keep this to about 2 hours, people. So we're going to try and zoom a little bit through these, although that's very difficult because, as you can see, we're very passionate about our games.
Yeah.
Okay, dog.
Number 5 then. Yeah, so you said in your top 10 from 2020 that you had a very hard time finding games to even put on the list. It was a bad year for gaming, you said, 2020. I find that very hard to believe. I found that very hard to believe when you put Catan at your number 80 of all time. It should be very easy for you to find good games. So, but I guess you like games where you just like sit and ask people if they have a resource that you can trade and nobody wants to trade with you.
That's a lot of fun.
You need to be more convincing then. Don't make stupid offers. Don't say like give me a wood or I kill you. It's like you've got to be nice.
Isn't that supposed
That's a
I'm
great strategy.
misunderstood.
That's a great strategy to kill the other people's strategy to win. I love that.
I mean, like I mean, interesting that we've gone. I mean, this must be one that you really hate then, in the sense, because this is one that's lower down on my top 100, but clearly,
Yes.
but it's higher on this list, so it must be one that you hate a lot more.
I think it's way too high.
I think it's a fine game, but I'm kind of like, yeah. 88.
What, that's
all
the
time.
argument? Yeah, it's like there's nothing else. Just why Catan? Like question mark.
And I get it's a good gateway game, but I also think there's been so many better ones
gateway
after that.
games. Yeah.
Yeah, Sunniva is in savage mode. Feels like
Yeah, savage
if
mode.
this was a roast. If this
I'm
was a
loving it,
roast,
though.
I think Sunniva would
Would
win.
win.
We can dish out. We can dish it out. But well, like I say,
Yeah.
when this is switched off, I haven't got to like calm it down afterwards. It's like goose rubber. It's like everything. No, I mean, like I say, it's 1995, and I do respect a lot of the older games. I mean, I can't think of a game that's this light that has a decent amount of like does trading well, easy to teach and play with variable setup. And I mean, granted, my one has seafarers bolted into it, which is kind of like the main way I play it. I want that little bit of exploration as well. But I've got a thing for these old simplistic games where it's kind of like, look, I don't need something to burn my brain right now. I need just a nice game with a bit of interesting interaction in it. And that's another thing. I do like some, negotiation style games. And this is one of the earliest negotiation games that there technically was. You've got to deal with getting these resources of other people, and sometimes you've got to give them more to get less, but it's like, I can afford to make you a little bit better, that's fine, you're not getting in my way, but I need those 2 bricks right now. And like I say, it's simple and light, but very few games get trading and negotiation done in a light game this well. I can't think of any game I would compare to Catan but this light that
What
does
about Bonanza? I would rather play that.
What, trading the card trading the beans one?
Yeah, that is good.
That's okay. I mean, I've played it.
And it makes sense because you need to, you have this queue like,
In your hand,
so you need to get rid of the cards. You want others to want to trade with you. You don't have that engine that's making it easier for yourself in Catan.
I say a fair amount of hate for this one. The thing is, it got to a point where, like, Catan was like, oh yes, we like Catan, we're playing it, we're doing it in coins. And then there just came a point, I swear, when like the cult and the new thing started, where suddenly it was cool to hate Catan, or like certain other games have fallen victim to this as well, or something. It's just like, well, no, it's not cool to hate it. It's not like your opinion changed overnight. You either liked it to begin with, or you didn't like it to begin with. It doesn't change, but it. Someone mentioned actually stuff. Oh, hello, Bez. How you doing? But on the boss. Now,
I think it's a game.
No, the game.
It was just like, that was totally random.
I wouldn't put it past him to say that, to be honest. But yeah, the thing is, that's a training game, but then Catan is still like a much more structured like game. I'm the Boss is basically pandemonium for an hour because, with that one, I don't know if you've played it, but it's like, yes, you're trading with people, but you're trading anything at any time. And somebody can literally, after you've spent 20 minutes negotiating something, play a card that says, no, I'm the boss. Right. Let's rewrite this deal. And it's like, seriously, that's a little bit too free falling for me in that. But a lot of people have kind of, gone off it, fair enough, but I still enjoy it. I mean, I don't see it being on my top 100 forever. Granted, I reckon that as more games get added onto it, this will be one of the ones that eventually drops off. But it still sits in the collection for the time when I feel like, you know what, if I know people that like Catan, I've got 3 or 4 of us, we'll go with it. But yeah, I mean, fair enough. It's not one that I'm gonna sort of go, you're mad, like compared to some of my other like all-time greats that you've picked. Alrighty, okay, fine. So with number 5, yes, certain mode of transportation I'm not a fan of, and
I'm guessing boat.
I don't mind a boat too much, but I almost didn't put this on the list because I thought, I mean, most of these games are the same anyway, but I thought only one of you had it, and then I revisited your list this morning, thinking, all right, I need to get these ranked. And found out, oh, wait, this is on both of your lists. All right, no, this is going on. I cannot stand trains as a physical concept, let alone using it as a theme in games constantly all the time. And I am just done with anything that is remotely 18xx. But where do you get enjoyment from Age of Steam? It's like, where? I don't get this one. I mean, every train game might as well be called Age of Steam, because they pretty much function exactly the same. Here's your dull as ditch water looking map. Here's your hexagons with a track on it. Here's your trains. Granted, some of these pimp this version up because I don't think they look that nice normally. Or is this an old version? I'm not sure. But you don't recognize the map. I mean, they've brought out more. There's more maps. The best quote I've ever heard about this game is Tom Vassell saying that there's more maps for this game than there are people who like it or people who play it.
I love that.
Because it's just like so many maps. Like they got one on the sun and like zombie map and stuff. And it's just, no, this is just bad. And every time I play it, it's another economic game where like one wrong move kills you for the whole game with no recovery. People will hate you for doing something wrong. Like it's a bit like Puerto Rico. It's like, oh, I'll bid this much. And it's like, you moron. Seriously, you bid that much? It's like, sorry, I'm a noob. Give me a break. I've seen some vindictive people in this. But I could have picked any 18xx style game or anything similar to Age of Steam and just gone, that's my number 5. Because they're all the same. Every single one. Why'd you love it?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to say they're all the same because they are literally not. Age of Steam is more of a Euro game. 18xx is very different. And we're not going to talk about 18xx because you hate it.
I like Age of Steam. Hate 18xx games.
Yes, you hate it like a lot. You will not play that.
It's work. I don't want to work. I want to play.
And again, I don't care about themes. So it could have been anything. Like the trains is not really important to me if it's trains or anything else. Just it makes sense that there are trains, especially in Age of Steam because how those games are. Or I mean 18xx. But Age of Steam is just again, it's very cutthroat, as you say, and it's very mean. And I just love it to bits. Like the tension of in the beginning of each round, you have to say, okay, how many loans do I have to want to take? How much money do I need? Okay, and then maybe a lot later in the turn, you're going to be like, oh yeah, I have one money too little now. That's going to be horrible. And I understand if you don't like that, which I know you don't. You don't like those things. But for me, I love it. I do not love, like, I have one game of this where I was basically out of the game the first round, and then I just said, okay, let's start over. But other than that, we have had games when somebody almost did very bad in the beginning, but you can then come back if you end up like getting into a right place, and the different maps are very good. I feel like there is so much difference. We have the new version with all the maps from the Eagle Griffin. We also have some of the old maps, and we have, of course, the moon. The moon is great.
Yeah, but this doesn't even make sense.
Why should it make sense if it's fun? Like you watch Star Wars, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, no, but then that's a science fiction. That's a science fiction like film with Jedi's and lightsabers. This is a train economic game.
Trains on moon, isn't that science fiction?
Is it happening
checking.
Now? It's science fiction.
I mean, funny you mention like that. Imperial is another one my friends have got, and I'm like, Are you going to trick me into playing this one, guys? Just because it's got funky magic and stuff being thrown around? Is like, don't try and fool me into an Age of Steam game just because it's got dwarfs in it. It's like, I know what my friends will try to do. They'll try and sucker me into this kind of thing. But
Imperial is fine. We have just played it once. But the Age of Steam is my favorite train game.
I give Ian O'Toole props with his artwork in a lot of games, but everybody went on about this Age of Steam looking great. How difficult is it to draw green hexes with a track on it? I mean, granted, it looks colorful because it's got the pieces, but I don't think you needed Ian O'Toole's talent to make this one look credible. Because it's not like it's got terrain all over. I mean, you've got all these different maps. I don't know what map that is. I can't recognize that country at all. If you give me the Germany map, I wouldn't know it was Germany because it's literally like tiny little coastline of Germany or something it will be. So it's, a map is a map.
I think he did his best with the restrictions because he was probably told you need to make it look
pretty.
Yeah. It still has to be a little ugly, but like
try that. Alrighty, okay, let's move on to the next one where we are. Fours. We're going to try and speed a little bit, but I was 30 minutes with 8 games. We can do it. Right. So
let's do it. Number 4 is I just talked about Star Wars, and I don't know you love Star Wars and you love all the series and everything. But the thing is, you don't have to put every Star Wars game on this list just because it's Star Wars. And there's one Star Wars game that is very bad, and it's called Star Wars Outer Rim.
Oh, that's not the one I typed in.
Were you doing Rebellion?
I put that one because I thought that's what.
No, that's an amazing game. That's a pure awesome game, and you have that on the list. So you do not need Outer Rim, where you basically go somewhere and you draw a card and you hope you get something good, and you hope that the other players don't get better things or get I can deliver this to my neighboring planet. Oh, you have to go all the way over to the other end. You win, and that is how I felt every time I played this game. It's like it's just 80 to 90% luck of the draw, luck of where everything ends. I agree it's thematic. I wanted to play this for a theme because I do love Star Wars, but it just fell so flat for me. The fact that it's just luck. It looks cool. I love the sandboxy thing. I actually enjoy that kind of where you can do what you want to do. But yeah, it's basically when you ended up winning a couple of times, it was because you could move 1 space and do a thing, and I had to move 16 spaces, and I'm out of the game.
I mean, there's luck of it in there. It's a pick up and deliver, and to be fair, most pick up and deliver games, I think, have got a reasonable amount of luck. But this one does such a good job at getting that Star Wars theme in there. And yeah, like I say, a lot of it is the theme and being able to tell a few stories as you play it. But
yeah,
I don't normally go for pick up and deliver games. So for one to hit my list in a strong way is a good thing. This badly needs an expansion, which will probably never come. Yes, seriously. I mean, print the Mandalorian expansion and this would print money, basically.
Yes.
But, I like sort of going like, right, I'm going to be this bounty hunter. I'm going to grab that ship. Somebody nicks my ship. It's like, how dare you? I've had people like chase me across space the entire game because one of them's got a bounty on Chewbacca. And it's like, you're not having it. He's mine. You can't have him. Until eventually like patch it up and they're trying to take him away. It's like, no, give me back my Chewie. Which is kind of weird. But I don't know. This one is, a lot can be on the theme. There is a fair bit of luck involved, but I don't find the game takes too long anyway, at least no longer than most of the sort of 90-minute games I've had, maybe 2 hours tops. But if it is, when it's got the luck, the theme still keeps me going. And I'm like I said, I'm not a Star Wars fanatic, but I do enjoy Star Wars. I'm not as, I can watch all the movies and go, all right, these are worse than those. These are the good ones, but I still get enjoyment out of it. I'm not like a diehard fan where it's like, I feel like something betrayed my childhood just because they like did this to a character. But I pick up and deliver is not necessarily a great mechanic in games, but when you put Star Wars on it and give me a reason to be engrossed in a theme that I'm interested in, I can go with it. But yeah, I can understand that this one is not going to be everybody's cup of tea. If you're not into Star Wars, you wouldn't touch this with a barge pole anyway.
No, that's true.
But, they really do need to get an expansion out for it, which is the one problem I have with the game is that, the card decks do need to be bigger, which I don't know what is Fantasy Flight's deal here, but I don't know. I like it. Alrighty, fine. Moving on to before. Oh yes. If this was yeah, if I hadn't put this on the list, I think people would have thought I was going easy or like not being true to my word. But no, I'm sorry, Joe. I think you like this one as well. Sunniva, I'm not sure. I don't think it was on your list though, but it's like number 10 on Joe's list. And no, one of my worst games ever. Not happening. I can't understand Concordia. Why everybody like this game? I don't get it. It's just we've already made jokes about how trading in the Mediterranean is one of the most overused themes ever. You know, I mean, this is trading the Mediterranean with, well, on the previous cover, Zombie Lady. That was on. Even that one doesn't exactly look much better. But yeah, the one, like the two little props I can give to it. I don't mind the card system from the whole. I need to play these cards and then I need to do something to pick them all up. I've got Aquatica, you know, it's the same mechanic in that. But, you know, and it does look colorful. You know, it's not difficult to paint pretty colors on the board, but that's cool. But everything else in this is just boredom central. I can't get Ingress in this at all. I am just going around putting generic buildings down for brick, salt with it. I mean, that was the big thing with the expansion. Now you get to trade in salt. Yay! Now. Yes, I get to trade salt. Who cares? And you know, so nothing felt interesting to do. But the scoring, I just feel, is way unbalanced in this game. You've got the cards that score different if you get multiple of the cards. Okay, at first I thought that was going to be a cool concept. But the problem is, I forget, there's like 5 or 6 ways that you can score. And I swear only 2 of them are any good. Because every time I see people win this, it's usually because they've grabbed the ones that let you build multiple cities or whatever they're called, regardless. And one that says get into all the different provinces. Which is kind of easy to do because that's kind of what you want to do anyway. You want to get a lot of stuff on the table. But 1 for every 10 money is a pointless scoring system. It's like nobody's won by getting loads of cash. The one that gets the resources, I can't remember, it scores you points for resources. Not bad, but everybody guns for that card because the action on it is so good. So, you know, strategizing that doesn't work. I've never seen anybody win with the whole getting your merchants out on the field. And that mechanic confuses me anyway. And I think there was one that, oh yes, and points for focusing on a particular resource. I've tried that. You basically just scupper the rest of your game because I can go, yes, I've got all the silk, but now I can't build anything because I have no brick. And you've nicked all my cards that want silk, so now what do I do? You get to the end and you sort of realize that your game basically was more to do with, did anyone buy your cards before you got a chance to? If they did, you've lost. If they didn't, you'll probably win. You know, But that aside, I don't get the fun of it. I just get bored. So bored. But I'm going to get absolute hatred for this. So you defend it, and I'll just let the people in comments cheer you on because it's such a minority.
You love this game more than me. It's not in my... Oh, I like it. It's a decent game. It's not in my top...
Decent game? Are we going to go there now?
I think Luke is wrong. But I don't love it. It's not in my... it's not in my top 50, and it's just not one of my favorite games, but I think it's really solid. I think it's a good game.
So I'm going to say something now that's going to get me flack probably. I like this game better a few years ago than I do now. I still think it's a very good game, but I have also felt that some of the scorings are better than the others, and there's a couple of strategies I go for that are better than the others. I still think it's a very fun game, and if I play it like once in a while, which we do. We don't play our games. Like, if I play this every day, maybe like the maps probably would be more changing up. Maybe because we haven't played many maps. So that's probably going to be like how the game changes up because I want the map we have. Hey, Paul.
Hey, Paul. You just missed
maps we have played.
Your favorite games.
Yes.
Yay.
The maps we have played have been like different enough to make it changed up, and that's how I want to play the game from now on. Play different maps, try out new maps, kind of like in your favorite game from the earlier Age of Steam, where the maps add to the gameplay. But I love this game. It's not one of my favorites anymore. It has fallen a bit, and I remember actually it was maybe a couple of years ago I played it, and I wrote something on Twitter or Facebook about it, and you were like cheering me on for not liking it as much anymore. But I think it's
he's seen the light. He's seen the light.
But it's still one of those games, and this is the other one that has the same thing that has Trajan, where I can look at my hand and I can basically plan 9 turns ahead, and I can just use my brain to try to do the best possible combination and sequence of actions, and my brain just works for that. Can I understand that you hate this game? Absolutely, because it's super dry, it has no theme, it's very mechanic. It has some interaction though, like we did, not that you said it didn't, but it has some interaction that's interesting when trying to build in a place and you have to pay double the money, trying to get that. Is it important enough for you to go there? But this is still a game that I will always love to play, but it might not, I don't know, but it might not end up in the top 50 next time.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to like it more. I mean, I didn't mind the cards too much apart from the scoring thing. I thought that didn't work, but I didn't mind the whole hand management thing. But I mean, I've got the same system in Aquatica. Love Aquatica. So it's like it's got the card system, but what I'm doing in that just feels more interesting than this one does. It's just like, all right, pick a resource, get it. Oh, wait, I better mandatory get these resources because I need to build cities because that's kind of what you do to win. It's like, it's not like I can decide I'll go for this resource that has nothing to do with building cities. You'll lose. You need to build cities. Otherwise you can't.
You can actually, you can trade in the game. So if you get some good trading cards, you don't need to build in all the cities.
It varies, but I mean, I'm in the massive minority for this one. Everybody loves it. Yeah. And I think I would say a good quarter of my hatred is probably the fact that everybody thinks it's the best thing since sliced bread. And I just can't understand why it's the best thing since sliced bread. But let's say
sliced bread is good though.
Bread is good. Is there a special Norwegian bread?
I don't think so. We eat bread.
No, you just bread, right? So no special local bread that's like cooked specifically or whatever.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, I was hoping we'd have a tangent there, but well, moving on.
Okay, so talking about Boredom Central, I thought you called Concordia that.
Yes, it does. Add an end stream. There you go.
So Ticket to Ride is your number 52 of all time, and I personally find this game utterly boring. It's mostly just drawing cards till you get what you want and then placing your trains at the...
It has trains.
It has
trains. You just hate it.
What? Is this... You're wrong. Yeah. So I guess it's an okay game. It's a popular game. It's very available to people, and it's a gateway game. But it makes me sad that you can't find 52, like more than 50 games that you think are better than Ticket to Ride. That just puzzles me. What is the deal?
Ticket to Ride is so good. I mean, people give me so much flack because I say, like, look, this top 10 of BGG doesn't make any sense. Why are these games on it? And yes, BGG is a geeks list. It really is. So it's not going to be that. But you can't think this game has been so influential in the hobby. It's unreal. I've taught so many people this. They have bought most of the maps by my recommendation. My dad is my favorite game for my dad. He's obsessed with like the India map. He always wants me to bring that home. This is a sort of game that should be like number 1 on BGG just for how much of an impact it has. But I still really enjoy this one. It is, as I say, simple, elegant game. I can teach this to anybody and they'll get it. Like nobody gets confused by how Ticket to Ride works. And even then,
my mom.
So many... Oh God, how? But although actually saying that, my mum. But I don't know why I need a shelf there. But with the extra maps, you've also got a lot of different feeling maps. Like, I mean, things like Concordia and the Age of Steam ones or so. It's like, yeah, you pick a different map. Whoopee. It's like, okay, it's just a slightly different layout now. But the mechanical changes you get in these ones, like I still love the UK map. It's about the one good thing I can associate with my country is like the map of Ticket to Ride. But with using the locomotives and getting the technologies. But then you play Africa and it's like one of the tightest, meanest Ticket to Rides ever. You play India and you've got the mandala circuits you're doing. Japan has the bullet train. There's all sorts of little differences. But I still enjoy this one because it's just a simple case of, right, I got me colors. Right, I'm going to aim for that track. It's still tense because I've got to worry that somebody's going to nick my track. Where are they planning to go? It's like, oh, they're going to get in my way. I better, get there first. Sometimes you might just want to be mean and go, well, I don't need to go over that way. But if I just pop my little train here, oh dear, sucks to be you. Is like, this is a 30 to 45 minute game of be mean. It's better than doing it for 2.5 hours. but I still love this one. Granted, I think if you're pretty much playing nothing but heavy games religiously, then yeah, this is going to be like way too light, way too basic, and probably not going to give you anywhere near as much depth. Although I'd say there's still a fair bit of depth in this game. That's surprising.
I like light games
And we like
Yeah.
games, just to make that clear. We don't always play the heavy stuff, but we like games where what I do make difference.
I still enjoy. I don't need to defend this one, should I? Although the comments have lighted up, although that might just be people wanting to say hi to Kabuki and Paul, which is probably more the thing. I don't know. Ramblings all Ticket to Ride. Just kidding. Haha. Trying to find. Oh, here we go. Always find it hilarious how much Sunniva dislikes TTR. It's hey, all right, Chrissy's. What? So wait a minute. You've hated every choice I've made, and this is the one time Chrissy's on my side.
Chrissy.
Because how many maps? Not as much as Age of Steam. Put it that way.
To a few of them.
Trade obsession started here. Yeah, that's the thing. This is going to be taxis. They've already done it with like the mini London one and done it with buses and taxis. I don't care. It's like using trains. It's a route connection thing that I enjoy, which is why I like Whistle Stop. Whistle Stop's trains, whatever. I don't care about trains, but I love the route connection stuff in it. That's kind of the next best thing. And if Age of Steam sort of got rid of all the share stock, loan
all the good stuff,
I probably would got rid of all that stuff. I'd probably wouldn't mind it for the route connection bit, but I think this one's people are certainly commenting that Sunniva's on fire, just like literally on fire. It's like literally going to be going on there, but the most people are kind of on the I like Ticket to Ride side, but there are a couple that are siding with you there. Bez is not a fan, and Luckin and Excitement is like, come on, it's a good one. Although, yeah, I mean, actually saying that, you don't like the game, but do you believe it deserves the popularity it has, or are you that much against it?
Absolutely.
Yes, I think that I want to see more other gateway games in the Norwegian shelves. There's a lot of Ticket to Ride.
Yeah.
I think it's better now than it was, but I think still that there are other gateway games that are being a little overshadowed by Ticket to Ride because that is so available. And although Ticket to Ride has been a very helpful tool to getting more people to game, I just like the world moves on. There is other good games now also. In addition to Ticket to Ride.
No, Code of the Old, still old ones are still good. I've still got Pillars of the Earth and stuff like that on my shelf. It's like still a good work of placement game.
He's a great designer.
To be fair, it's actually more for the Michael Menzel's board, but yeah, I do like that game. But that's like 1990s, early 2000s. I can't remember. It's like some of the old ones are still the best. Although,
absolutely,
this particular old one, on the other hand, although technically it's now even though this is an old game, just because they made it pretty, it's somehow now the best thing since sliced bread. And granted, I want this artist to work on other games. I want this artist to get paid a ton of money to illustrate a lot of games, because when you take such a dull theme as this one and still make it look this good, that's pretty impressive. But it's still below average. I'm sorry.
I knew it.
And I get a lot of flack for this one. A lot. I tried to like Brass. I even gave it a 6 originally. That rating has now gone down. I mean, the old version I hated. I like 1 out of 10. I really hated it when I played the original Brass, and the app wasn't much better for it either. When this one came out, I gave it as good a chance as I could to like it more than the 6 out of 10, and that was mainly due to respect for the game as opposed to loving it. But with the massive popularity it's got, the fact that everybody sort of like, all right, this is the best game of 2019. It's like, it's the game that came out 6 years ago. It's no different. It's the exact same game. And it's like, well, but now there's Birmingham. It added beer. That doesn't fundamentally change the game that much. It's just another resource.
You should like that.
Well, to be fair, every time I play Brass Birmingham, I always go for beer because I always want to have beer. But,
that's the only joy you find in it, And
I give it props. Roxy knows how to make a game look good. This is one of the dullest themes you can shove on a game, the whole Industrial Revolution coal and iron thing. There's like, come on, you've picked the grittiest period in UK history and just used it as a theme. But that does look gorgeous. I'll give it props. That does look gorgeous. But playing the game, I'm not that entertained by what I'm doing. I am just harvesting coal mine and cotton now. That's the new thing. It's another one of those like games that takes 2.5 hours to 3 hours for meanness. Yeah, I know you're prepping. That's super mean as well, because if somebody does block you when you least expect it, it can, like, you're screwed. Like, there's only so many ways to get from A to B, and if someone does go in your way, it's not like you can just sort of go, oh, I'll just go around here. It's like, no, you're screwed, like literally screwed. You can call the victor usually halfway through this game. When you get to the switch between canal and railroad, I look at the position at that point, I know if I've got a chance of winning or not. It's like, I'm falling behind a bit, I'm done. Like, there's no way I'm going to suddenly overtake so-and-so later. And this is one of those games where you say you don't like a lot of luck in the games. I'd argue there's a lot of luck in that deck of cards, because your entire game actions are dictated by your hand of cards. I want to go over here and bolster up my coal ironing a bit. I can't, because I don't have any iron cards, nor do I have, I don't know, Beirut or whatever. I forget what places are even in Birmingham. I don't go there often, but I don't have this area in Birmingham, and I don't have coal. Right, well, I can't do anything with coal then, but I really need to in order to do well. But I can't. The cards say no. It's like, okay, fine. I guess I'll do this pointless little cotton thing then. It started off at a 6. It's just got to below average for me. And like I say, I don't hate this game. Concordia and that I would hate a lot more. You could convince me to play this. I could be like, all right, fine, that's the option. I'll play it. I'll try and get something out of it, because at least I'll stare at the board, if nothing else. I'll be just engrossed in that artwork. Or getting beer. That's the thing. Getting beer in the Birmingham one.
I think the comments are speaking for itself here.
God, yeah.
I don't even need to argue.
Everybody is obsessed with brass.
But I really love it. And what I love is the interaction in this game. And also the timing here, when you do certain things to take advantage of what is happening, is really crucial. And also the tug of war for the being the first player, or like when to spend money and to get in the right place where you want to be, like regarding to the first player, is really interesting. I think it's some luck in the cards, I agree, but you can spend one turn to get to jokers if it's like
in Birmingham.
Yeah, if it's a real crisis for you, but most of the times I've been very seldom limited by my cards. Sometimes I need to change my plans, or sometimes I need to change my plans. But most of the time I feel like there's always a lot of stuff I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always things to do anyways.
Yeah, and this game has that great mix of strategy and tactics. Like you have that long-term plan, and then you have the tactics of, oh, now somebody used a lot of iron. I'm going to do the ironworks if I have it. And it's the timing and the interaction, especially the board is so tight in the first half of the game. And we have never had that problem that you said, like you can see the winner in the half of the game. That has changed, like not every time, but a lot of times, depending on who has what on the board, depending on where you go in the next round. So we really haven't had that problem. But the game is very mean. I feel I use interaction for that, because I feel very, I don't like that word in using in this game, but it is very interactive, and you have that of if there's something you really want to do, you have to do it now. You cannot wait. And that timing is kind of like the same timing I feel of in tight worker placement games, where you're thinking like, oh, I want to do these 2 things. Which of them are the least possibility that somebody else is going to do, and you try to do that thing. So this is one of those, like, I think I disagree with you. We have had this discussion many times. I disagree with you that there's not a difference between the 2 games, because they are very different. They have taken away a lot of the luck in Lancashire of shipping. So you have taken that away, where you draw and you might not get the best shipping. So I like Lancashire a lot, but I will always choose to play Birmingham, basically.
Yeah.
Lancashire then would be like, oh, I haven't played this for a couple of years. Let's play that.
I'll take Birmingham first, but mainly just go for the beer and that. But the beer is another one of those things where it's like, okay, coal and iron were supporting each other. And like I said, that's why I give this one a little bit of props. So the interaction is there. But with the beer thing in Birmingham, it suddenly becomes, right, do you have any beer? No. Have fun trying to win then. That's why I love going for beer, because I love just cornering that into the market and going, you lot don't get to have any beer this game, so I hope you don't require it, because I ain't letting you have any. It gets bits like that. But as I say, I can play this one, and I have played it with some mates where it's kind of like, we fancy playing this and it's the only choice. It's like, cool, I'll play it. I don't actively hate this one. I didn't like the old one at all, because I didn't even have a nice board to look at. The old version of Brass was like one of the ugliest.
Oh, it was so ugly.
It looks horrible.
Oh.
Roxy, I'll give it credit. did, if you can take a game that I absolutely hated and then make it something where I'm like, you know what, actually, I'll give this one a second chance. That's pretty good going. So I got to give props to Roxley that, if you're going to do this sort of thing for this game, this was the way to do it. They did it perfectly. But, okay, there's worse to come, though.
Okay, so number 2 then is, like, in your top 10, you have a couple of very good games. One is called Arkham Horror Living Card Game.
Yeah, which is amazing. And now I'll talk about the other one.
The other one is called Lord of the Rings. And it's also very good. But then you have a game that's just basically Lord of the Rings, just boring. On the number 23, which is Marvel Champions.
Oh, I was going to say, well, where are you going with this?
Yes, because I like Arkham Horror. I like Lord of the Rings. And then I was like, okay, let's play Marvel Champions. And I felt like Marvel Champions took all the good things in Lord of the Rings, made it a lot more basic, took away all the things I found interesting in that game, and then just thought, oh, it's Marvel, so you're going to buy it. Here you go, Marvel for you. And that's what I feel about that game.
Champions is so good. I mean, it currently is below those two, although I don't know, it's catching up, and Arkham Horror is starting to get a little bit bloated, and that Chaos Bag can be a pain. I mean, it's a luck mechanic I can't deal with all the time. Lord of the Rings hasn't at the table as much, namely because it's, like I say, it's the complex one. It's the hard one. Marvel Champions is starting to creep up just because of the simplicity of being able to just go, right, there's my Iron Man deck, right, get going. I don't have to do a ton of setup with Champions. And, I love Marvel to death, but, I like Lord of the Rings, I like Arkham Horror. You could put most themes on here. I mean, you're not going to make a Cole Baron Marvel Champions equivalent with this one. I don't think.
Let's go.
I hate to think what that could possibly be, but I love this game. I got so many characters now, lots of different villains, and certainly that extra Rise of Red Skull thing was definitely needed. But it's one of the more elegant LCGs I've played. It's a straight up forward, right? You'll play the cards, do your attack. Right now, the villain does their turn. They attack or scheme, flip a card, do what it does, go back and forth. It's like one of the easier ones to manage with some cool artwork and a lot of good theme represented in the decks. Like if I'm playing Doctor Strange, I am playing a very different style of game to say if I'm playing Black Widow or Spider-Man. Hulk is unable to do any decent 14 of the scheme, but will punch living daylights out of you. Whereas Iron Man is kind of like, right, you guys just like deal with this for a bit. I'm just putting on all my stuff and then I'll be right with you. They feel really good and different, but I really do enjoy this one. I've got, in fact, I mean, funny enough, yeah, you mentioned that. These just arrived today, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. Can't wait to bust them open and start, doing cool stuff with it. And like I say, with another theme, maybe I wouldn't have approached it as like valiantly as I did. But I mean, I would have probably still loved it to bits if it had a different theme. But certainly knowing that, an LCG is coming out for Marvel, was my first inkling of, right, this is an anticipated game. I then want to try it out. But, I really, really enjoy this one. But I mean, it's got similarities to the other one. So how come this one just didn't kind of work with you then?
I felt like there's been a while since I played Lord of the Rings, so but there was especially some of the enemy, the way the enemies moved on the row and all of that, like the thinking of trying to taunt the enemy or not taunt the enemy and all those very interesting decisions. I felt like they basically removed that in Champions, and that was one of the things. Even though I love Marvel, so I was also like, okay, I hope you like this, and also like it isn't my genre of games from the start, but it's it just was. It felt like I was playing as like, oh, I'd rather just play Lord of the Rings if I was going to play it.
Well, the thing is, Lord of the Rings is a harder one to get because I mean it takes a lot more to build. I mean, I suppose that's one other plus for this game is that with Lord of the Rings, I've got to really think hard about building my deck because those missions are hard, like ridiculously hard, like overpoweringly difficult. And the thing with this one is that the deck building isn't anywhere near as complex. Forget using a starter deck or something. I mean, you've got the character, they've got a bunch of cards where you put them in anyway, so right, that's an easy bit, and then you've only got to find another 20-30 cards on top, and with all the
I think we lost Luke again. We'll see.
Yeah.
Stuff's
Don't know
out.
if
You
you
only
can see
pick
it.
one aspect. Slight blip there. Let's say the internet couldn't
Yeah.
handle them not liking Marvel Champions. So I did that.
I didn't miss anything.
I love this game. Wrong. I'm surprised that I think my chat's full of dry Eurogamers. I know that Marvel Champions has got a fan base, but they are saying that they tend to like the Arkham Horror and Lord of the Rings one more, which is fine. If you're going to like those two, like those two. I like all three. So they're all in my top 25, so I can't exactly complain. But yeah, Marvel, Lord of the Rings, and Arkham Horror, you're pretty much just printing money with me.
Yeah.
I love it. Ready, number two.
I know the last two. I will be super
Yeah.
surprised if I don't know the
No
last
surprise
two.
at all.
Yeah, to be fair, one of them I'd be surprised. Although it'd be interesting to see whether the other one comes by. But what can I say about this game? I find it boring. I find it frustrating. I don't.
You don't like the theme?
To be fair, the theme, I don't know. I haven't watched a lot of movies related to this theme, though. So, I only am so much into it. But, and I would certainly like it more if I sort of thought, oh, yeah, this is in the Western area. But why am I dealing with ninja cows? I'm sorry. I can't deal with Great Western Trail. Again, minority, because loads of other people adore this game. But this one just drove me to anger when I've played it the times I tried to do it. Not just because of its popularity, but I thought, right, come on. I've got to be missing something here. There's got to be enjoyment here. But I just couldn't do it because, three ways to play it. One of them doesn't work unless the moon aligns with Venus. So, okay, right. So I'll go for the train or I'll go with the cows. The train kind of works, but then all I got to do is just build a trim deck of cows. Okay, that seems a lot easier. It doesn't always win, but if somebody does do really well with the other two, they can win and beat you. But it's like so much easier to play the game with the cows. But then I don't get the theme with this one. You're doing this ring the ring of roses around this trail. You then teleport back to your home base before other people have got there. And then why is deck building even in this game? I love deck building. If you're going to shoehorn it into a game, do it right. Arnak and, Viscounts and a few other games, whether we like them or not, those ones do it for me. This one feels like Pfister just shoved it in to appease the Eurogamers because there's no point in it. Why am I deck building with cows? Why do I have a difficulty in knowing what cows I have? When I get to the market and I'm going to sell cows, I expect to sell the cows. I expect to go, here's my prize cow. I wish to sell it. But when I get there, because of luck of the draw, do I then have to look at my hand of cards and go, there's only good cows? And my two level 5 cows are in trees, dressed as ninjas, hiding behind bushes. So I go, he can't see us. He can't possibly be sold at this point. It's like, why? You want luck in your games. You're deck building. That is inherent luck of the draw. The building is interesting. I don't care for this game. Everybody loves it.
Oh, that was the most fun I had in a long time. That thematically, I agree with you a lot about that.
Right, so you agree with me. Good, we'll go with it.
But the game is really good, and if you take away that
like 20s, I mean, come on, it's you both adore this.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and with the expansion, it's even better. I feel like the deck building here, like theme, swim. I don't care. The deck building here. If you take that out, you have to take out like half of the game because everything is built around you wanting to cycle your deck and trying to make the deck the best deck possible. And for me, like sometimes you go to the end and you draw and you're like, yeah, that's horrible, and I'm just gonna do that a couple of I don't know 4 or 5 times throughout the game or 7 times, something like that. And the thing is that you have to like be kind of, okay, do I want to go here and discard this card for an action? But if I do that, then I have to draw a card because now my deck is in my hand. It's kind of actually pretty good. So I want to do that, or I just want to rush to the end. But then I will not be able to do any of the actions on the way. And I also agree with you on the buildings, but the building strategy works a lot better with the expansion. That it basically fixed that part of the game.
Would you reckon I would like it more with that expansion? I've not even dared to want to play this game again after the 5 or 6 times I have. But
I think you will like it more, but
like if you like it at 2 now, maybe you like it at 4 with the expansion. Like it's not gonna change your mind basically, but I think it helps the game a lot.
Yes.
over that, because I mean, I don't mind like the board being variable, but even the buildings just aren't that interesting, because one of them will, is like, all right, you trade in a brown cow and get this token. This one might get you a couple of bucks. I mean, and the buildings are the same with all the players, and they're done in tiers, which means you'll always see certain buildings, like 50% of them you'll see every game regardless, but then you won't even see any of the later ones unless somebody focuses on buildings and actually puts them out on the board. But I mean, I can give the variable board some props, but there's a lot of fiddly aspects to it as well. I mean, you've got the multiple markets at the top, of which for some reason the strategy for this game encourages you to go to the one that gets you negative points early so you can go to the good ones later. I don't get it when games say suffer to do better later. It's like, no, I want to go to a good market now. That's the whole aim. The bit down the left there on the bottom left, I never quite got that. It never made sense to me when characters were meant to be sort of spat out back at you. The Indian part of it, I mean, the objectives, they kind of work, and the train is a track at the end of the day. But I mean, when I played this game, it was basically a case of I tried buildings in my first game, realized that I was going to get creamed like crazy, and then after that pretty much stuck to cows and train. I just kind of decided which one I was going to go for and focused on it, usually the cows. Just because I like the deck building. But even then, I'm still getting to the market and frustrated that by luck of the draw, I just happen to draw my, infected cows or something. It's like, I can't do anything with them. Yeah, but this one, like Concordia, it's just like everybody's like on Facebook and that, like, oh, I love me some GWT. And this is like,
yes,
roll my eyes. I'm in a massive minority, but this one just, there are some games like, people like go like, oh yeah, Scythe's the best thing ever. And I do love Scythe. I can totally get when some people hate Scythe, but if you dare say you hate this game, you're burnt at the stake. You cannot say you hate this game, apparently, on pain of death. But just not for me. Anyway, we are running a little over. Not that we mind, because everybody wants us to talk. But let's see. That's my number 2. I dread to think what you've put as my number 1. You better not have put. You better not have put that as my number 1. That's all I'm saying. If that is on my number 1, we're gonna have words. Please, if it's going to be that game, break it to me easily.
Yeah, no, I don't know if you're guessing this, but I've heard you talk quite a number of times that you don't like when games just focus on going up on tracks. But then again, you really like Terramara. This is your number 6 of all time.
Number 6.
Probably, I know I'd still put it in my top 25 at this point. I still really love it. It's underrated.
This is just like going up on tracks. There's something else to it too, but tracks is basically what you're doing. I really like the mechanism where you place your workers in the future and then you get more powerful actions, but it takes more time to get that worker back. But that is essentially all the excitement I get from the game. I think it looks good. I just think it's like getting up on some tracks to score some points. And I can think of a few other games that does that better.
And we usually like that. We usually like going up on tracks.
Oh, yeah.
But this game was like, I enjoyed it the first time and I just fell and fell. And it's a very average game. Like, there's nothing special here.
Oh, it is. The worker placement is actually a little special.
That is cool.
Sending people to special bits in it.
Sending people to the future is always great. But it's just and yeah, it's just a meh game. So it's not one we really hate, but to see you have it like in the top 10 of all time, it's just strange.
Yeah.
I've fallen in love with this one though, because I mean, yeah, it's got the tracks, but it's not just simply who's highest on the track, therefore I get some points in it. Like a lot of the dry Euros will be. At least there's a meaningful reason why I'm going up these tracks, because they link together and do something meaningful. Like, if I'm trying to zoom in this one better, I'm not sure if I can scroll with this or not, but going up the military, right? That dictates how well I can block other players or get past being blocked. If I go up the caravans, I've got multiple routes I can take. Do I grab the bonuses or do I veer off and go for these point scoring opportunities? It's another strategy for the game. But then I need to go further down this track because I'm trying to load up a image on it is a widescreen, annoyingly. But I need to be able to go to these special actions on the right. If my caravan's not far enough, I can't go to these spaces. And then on the water track, you're trying to buy those cards at the bottom of the board. You need to go further along the river so that you can buy more cards. The payoff for why you're doing the tracks is more meaningful. It certainly, you cannot argue this is one of them. Like, this is Michael Menzel, I think, did this board as well. Anything he touches when it comes to a board is like beautiful. I love
beautiful and not very functional.
I don't have a problem with the graphic design on this one, but
it was fine.
You mentioned it doesn't have the special V. I know you turned back on that one, is that? But I like buying the cards. Different strategies unfold with the cards. I like the tactical opportunity of going, right, this card is exactly what I could do with right now. Let's go grab it before someone else does. But what really sold me with this one, besides I thought, oh, this is good, elegant resource management, buying cards, but it's the worker placement aspect of it. You mentioned like sending people forward. I like that aspect of going, well, if I use them at the top of the rows, I don't get much, but at least I get the worker back. But then I could maybe really do with that space down there. That looks really cool. And there's a lot of spaces. I mean, this is Feast of Odin level spaces in terms of like, there's a lot of options to go for. And I like having that decision where you're not game over just because you sent a worker to the end of the board. It could have given you the acceleration you need.
Absolutely.
The variable player powers. Do I keep this power in kid form so that I get a special ability every round, or do I flip it to adult side so that I can get a scoring opportunity? Again, another thing I can choose. But I love the fact that it's so modular, this thing. All those spaces are different every game by putting the tiles together. My board is very different. Sorry?
Are they different?
Yeah, the boards and that, because I've had games where certain resources have been very scarce compared to others, and suddenly it's like, suddenly that becomes more valuable. But I like how, like, one thing I do love in games is that sense of progression. So I mentioned I want to play some of your city building games, like Small City and that. I like things where I go, right, here's me blank slate. Now I've built this at the end of the day. Here's me farm in Caverna. Here's me city in something else. Here, it doesn't necessarily have to be I've built this up, but the game state changing. This one, each round, those tiles flip over and reveal another scoring opportunity and another action. And you don't necessarily, and they'll be different each game as well, depending on the tiles. So I like that as the game progresses, the actions get better, things feel more rewarding, but then you go, oh, that space is now available. Well, I'm like, fancy that one. That's pretty sweet. It just kind of just spoke to it in a lot of the right ways. Now, if I do have flaws with this game, it's that this is one of those few games where I'm like, best play it at 4 players, really. The dummy players not handled that greatly in 2 and 3. I probably wouldn't play this 2. I'd play it 3. I don't mind doing 1, but I tend to sort of go, right, we got 4 of us for a heavy Euro. Cool. Let's jump into this one. Plenty enough tension and that. I'll, look at all the art on it, which is beautiful. There's a lot of it. It felt like something different compared to a lot of other Euros, particularly in that year.
Yeah, I get what you mean. And I think that mechanism with the worker placement and also how the game, the spaces get blocked is really interesting. But so I would love to see that being done in another game, because nothing of the other stuff really engaged me, unfortunately. But I'm glad you like it.
Is it? I mean, it's definitely, I still think it's underrated, but Quinted Games didn't really publicize this one this much. It was at Essen. And that was the first time I'd even heard of it. It's like, oh, it's there. Cool. Oh, yeah. I'll try it. It looked beautiful. And like I say, Michael Menzel's board pulled me to it. I didn't know what Terra Mara meant. And I thought, it's just another heavy Euro. But I thought I'll give Quinted Games a try. But you've got to make your game look good on the table. If I'm going to walk by 1,000 million games at Essen and decide, I feel like playing this one. If you make your game look like Carpe Diem or something, then I'm not even going to give it a second glance these days in 2021. It needs to be, but a lot of people have not played this, and that is the thing. It just hasn't had enough distribution, which is a shame. But when I have showed it to people, they have really liked it.
Yeah.
But fair enough. But now, I suppose like I say, you say you already know what the number 1 is.
Yeah.
So
I'll be surprised if it's not.
You'll be. It's true, but you already know it is, because I think one of you has it at 2 and the other one has it at 3, or is it 2 and 1?
Yeah.
It's one of those.
I think it's 2 and 1.
I think it's 2 and 1, and everybody goes this. And I'm sorry, I would rather put Ticket to Ride in this position, to be perfectly honest with you. To say this is deserving of the top spot, because this game, I can get a little bit of enjoyment out of it, but you want the dictionary definition of overrated, you got Gloomhaven. It's like below average. I don't hate it, but this was not an adventure. This was not a thematic adventure game with some Euro mechanics. This was Mage Knight. This was a Euro puzzle being dressed up with a generic theme on top. Whatever. The story is not even that interesting in it. And I have played through a half decent portion of the campaign before, with someone else's copy before we had to quit it for lockdown and stuff. But why is this suddenly the best thing? A game that costs something like £150, comes in a giant crate, takes an hour to set the game up and an hour to put it away, needs an insert that costs as much as the game in order to actually make it manageable. You got to admit, it's a bit of a pig's ear to sort of manage all the pieces in this. And as much as I'm a fan of dungeon crawls, I'm perfectly fine with going through, but I'm more of a Descent style dungeon crawler. I want to kick the door down, get me sword, get me magic fireball spell, and go kill the dragon. That is my style. Monster Hunter World style of killing the boss. This, as soon as we get started, I'm going, okay, I've got this weird card mechanic for stamina. Okay, why do I tire so damn quickly? It's like, seriously, I've got 8 turns before I tire out. It's like, what kind of adventurer am I? And then the first game we played took something like 3+ hours, and we only had to go through 3 rooms. It's like literally the entrance lobby hall, a tiny little corridor, and then the final room. That took 3 hours. We should be able to do that in 30 minutes, get through nice and quick. But you spend ages planning out the combat part, which, okay, I thought that'd be pretty good at first, but then how do I know what the enemy's going to do? You kind of know how the enemy's going to act. That's a Euro puzzle. That's not a thematic adventure dungeon crawl. I want the unexpected. I want the dragon to suddenly throw me for a loop, or me to gamble. If I do this, I'm risking death here, but it will be cool if I can pull this off. But here, I know I'm going to be dead because I know that the enemies are going to move to this square unless we move to this square. It's like, that's not thematic adventuring. It's Mage Knight. I can't stand Mage Knight either. This one just, I don't know. Again,
should we say it at the same time? You're wrong. You're wrong. No.
I think
if you said anything else but you're wrong, I'd have been shocked because seriously, you're 2 and you're 1, but God, this monstrosity being the
feels
best
like 80% of what you said feels like this was something else than you thought it would be.
Well, it certainly was that. But then when I found out what it actually was, I thought, I don't want that. So, why is this?
That's really that, and that's
on you,
and that's fine that you don't want it. But there's just so many great things in this game. I love the gameplay, but I would not have played it. We have played this game over 100 times, and I would not have done that if it wasn't for everything else. Because I am a sucker for legacy things, and I agree. The story is fine. It's fun. It's fine. I like it. I enjoy the fact that Isaac has made, even though it is generic fantasy, I enjoy that he has made new races, added it to make it its own world. I wouldn't have enjoyed the theme as much if I was, I am the elf, I am the dwarf, I am the warrior. Even though the mechanics make it so that you are that, I really enjoy that he has made his own. This is his own world basically, and I really love that. And the thing that makes this game really work for me is the balance of the gameplay and then the progression of the characters, leveling up, getting that new card, putting it in. And I love the card mechanism. That's one of the greatest mechanisms in these kind of games. And I know it's not Descent, and I don't like Descent because you're just rolling dice and hope to see what happens. And that's not for me. But and then when you play it, and every character has a different play style. When you open up a box, you're going to play a completely different game. Not, of course, a completely different game. You're going to play it completely different. And also depending on which of the characters you play with. And then it just gives you that other challenge. But of course, it is a puzzle game. That is what it is. And if you don't want that, I agree with you on your thoughts. I agree with you why you don't like Gloomhaven. And that makes total sense. But for me, it was just that perfect mix of those mechanisms with the fun world, with these little fun things going on, and the progression of the characters, the leveling up and all of that just made it like a package that worked for me.
Yeah, I think it's the best of both worlds, really. It's we played Descent and I liked it.
Yeah.
It was fine. But I think like the drawing of the cards in Gloomhaven is much more manageable for me to take some risks, and it's still risks. I think that we've been in so many situations when it's been down to one like drawing of a card or one final detail that has made or broken it for us.
Yes.
And it's been super exciting. The only negative thing I have to say about this game, other than the huge box and the little clunky setup, Gloomhaven Helper, by the way,
that's
is
the only way to play the game.
amazing. But is that with the cards, because it's a more Euro puzzle to it than most dungeon crawlers, you can have players with massive IP that drags the game. And we've had that. And those plays of the game are not fun.
No.
So that is the only negative for me in this game. And that is a negative, but the fun things that I get out of discovering all of these new characters with all these crazy puzzles and just like, oh, I have this ability and I'm jump over here and do this super amazing, cool, overpowered combo, and then I lose this card and we have less time to finish the action. Is it worth it? It's just so exciting, and I really think that having your cards' stamina is a genius thing to do in Descent when you're lagging behind, when the game is thinking that you're stalling. They're just like, oh, you have to hurry up, so we're sending some wolves at you. That is so boring. That is so boring to me.
Well,
I was rather...
I mean, why
Yeah,
do I
but-
tire out in this game after because looting?
Wouldn't you tire out if you're fighting through all of these rooms? You would be not tired at all. Is that what we're saying?
3 wounds. I get more
I
tired.
would like
doing
to
my
see
gym
you do
workout.
that in real life. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I mean, because looting is one of the. Because I can't remember, somebody had a roguey character. It's like half of his cards say loot. It's like, okay, eventually you will get to do some cool attacks, but most of your cards say loot. Why do I need an action card to tell me to pick up gold? And then even then, you have to do it as part of the cards or you don't loot. So we get to the end of the first scenario, for example, and it's like, there's this creature, right, killed, dead, right, we're done. Finally, 3 hours later, this game's finished. Right, what do we get off the floor? Oh, you don't get that stuff. What? Yeah, but you didn't loot it during the mission, therefore you don't get it. The chest is right in front of me. I can literally open it. There's nothing killing us. Why can't I open it? It's like, nope. Moving on to scenario 2, you lost down. It's like, dude, I can open it right here. What? Just because I didn't play a card to pick 2 quid off the floor? I don't
You mean like in a fist rolling, you should just take all the pieces because they're right in front of you. So I don't need to do an action to take the piece. I can just take them because they're right there. I can see them.
Yeah, but when I've cleared the rooms out and there's no further danger, you've got chances to loot. Even in the D&D campaign, you finish the mission. It's like, yes, you finally killed the bad guy. Right, now let's sort out loot. It's like you don't suddenly skip to the next chapter and lose it all. That was part of the whole thing of like, yeah, this is where it's feeling more like a Euro puzzle. And a lot of people...
And it is, and that makes sense.
Yeah. People put like, oh, there's some innovative stuff in here. And it's like, turning a die into a deck of cards is not innovative. It's just a deck of cards that replaces a custom die.
How is it not? Like, you can't change or take away sides of a die. You can't add to sides of a die.
Well, you can.
Yeah, Dice Force you can, but you don't do that in Descent. Yeah.
But if
I'm not saying
doing that in Descent...
dungeon crawl, but I mean, not compared to another dungeon crawl. No, this is the only one that does that bit, but it is basically a custom die. It's just,
if you were doing that...
Rather than
if you were doing that in Descent, like getting stickers to change the die, I would call that innovative.
Yeah,
I would.
I don't remember the stickers part. It's been a while, but depends what edition.
No, it's no
there
stickers.
Are no stickers. Just
just like if you were doing the same, because you can modify your deck in Gloomhaven. If you can modify your dice in Descent, for example, I would call that innovative. I still think that the deck is better, but I think that is innovative in still.
It's not that either. I mean, look at the picture I had a minute ago. Like, I had all those boxes. I mean, it takes a long time to get this out of the table.
It does, absolutely.
1 hour to get it out, 3 hours to play a scenario, and then an hour to put it away. I was like, that's your entire evening spent on this game.
Yeah, but don't play with 4 players.
Nah.
Yeah. I mean, most people play it solo, and maybe that's maybe that's the thing. Maybe it's like, and maybe people get more out of it playing it solo or 2-player. I don't know, but it sounds like you've played it in a group. Maybe
we have played maybe half 2-player, and then the rest with 3 and maybe 4. I
Some
don't
with 4.
want to play 4. I can do 3.
Was it? Oh, right, yeah. So I mean, I don't know many people who play it in too much there. I mean, there's like, Nishan says 45-minute per mission. I've never seen a game be 45 minutes. Not any mission 45 minutes. I can't even imagine how you do it solo.
That is the problem. Like, that's actually a negative I have to say about the game, is that the missions are vastly different in length. So some missions are okay with 4 players, and others are horrible at 4 players because it's so long. So that is why I do want to play it with 2 and 3.
Oh yeah, this should. It could be very like practical for some people to know like the estimated length for the game before going in. And we were excited to see how Frosthaven has like taken things from Gloomhaven and maybe done it better, learning from its mistakes. So we're excited for that.
Yeah, I must have. I saw that Kickstarter. I thought, like, so you basically changed it from red to blue. Okay, fine. I mean, yeah, I'm sure it's got more stuff in it than that, but that was literally the first thought before I looked at the Kickstarter. I was like, oh, you just made it blue. But I'm sure it's got some new mechanics in it. But it's just like, oh, look, here's another £500 million Kickstarter for a game that's inaccessible to most people. Because it's all thing. We're saying that the number 1 game ever was not even accessible by people for a good chunk of time. And still will cost you a good 150 quid to buy. And as Chrissy said, is a good organization system comes in handy to make us take, 15, 20 minutes to set up a scenario. How much is the organizer? The same cost as the game, practically. I think the Broken Token one was a good £100 or so. So this is a 200 and something pound game to make it playable.
And then if you play it, like, it's the cheapest game I own. If you go like hours to play time to cost, I haven't nearly paid anything per hour.
I do it more by plays rather than hours, because I mean, like, a game can take 5 hours, but I've still only played it once.
I played it 100
how many
times.
times can I play this game for the cost? I tend to do about that. And yeah, some people do time ratio. But let's say we could go on about this race. We're already nearly up to 2.5 hours, which is insane. We are worn out, and I've still got to play Merv and a few other things than that tonight. So I will be worn out like crazy. But man, like, we'll repeat the disclaimers very briefly again.
Yes.
We do like games and we do like each other, okay? So, we are not enemies.
And also make sure to go and subscribe to our channel so you can get more good game reviewed. I'm just kidding. Luke do review good games, but you can also subscribe to us. I'm just throwing that out there to just let you know that it's possible.
No, by all means, I'll put the link for the channel in the description once this thing uploads. Definitely check them out. They are good fun to listen to. We disagree on a good chunk of games, but then we also agree on a lot more. I mean, run off that list very quick. Was it Nations, Detective, Le Havre with the House Rule, Feast of Odin, Vinhos, Lisboa, Awkward Guest, Pulsar, Feudum, Underwater City, Spirit Island, Suburbia, Newton, Rajas of the Ganges, Teotihuacan, and Architects. They was like the first lot I just wrote down quick of. Yeah,
all good games.
Great games.
Great
you might
games.
like them. You might like some of them a lot more than I do. Like, I mean, Lisboa was in your top 10, and I'm like, okay, it's a bit lower down, but it's still in my top 100. Yeah, but these are still really cool games. And I certainly would love to play Feudum again, but that's going to be an infrequent one to say the least.
Yes,
but there's a lot, and some of yours I'd never even heard of, like Wildcatters and a few others. Where it's like I've never even heard of this game, but. Who knows? So there's a lot of stuff, but we do like games and we do like each other. We're going to go to sleep tonight, feeling good that we've defended games we like. So, and a lot of people sort of like, to subscribe to both our channels and don't be too disappointed in my lists just because a lot of you are heavy gamers and love this thing that there. I mean, there's some people out there who disagree with everything I say and they're still subscribed. Fine, have your opinions. Like the games. Just because I hate these games doesn't mean I hate you. You can go home and play Concordia right now. Fine. Go play it with 5 other people, 6 players, with the Venus expansion. Go play it and have fun. That's all I want. We all like different things.
Yeah.
You didn't put Sentinels, before we sign this off, you didn't put Sentinels on your list. I was so paranoid you were going to put that on there.
I have not played it.
Ah, good. Right. Maybe I don't want you to play because you'll probably hate it. We'll go with that. But this has been a blast. So, yes, long episode, but hopefully everybody will still listen to it, even if you just listen to it in podcast form. Fine, do it. Love to do this again. I'm sure we'll think of some shorter topics. This whole, let me know, put in the comments later or something when the video is uploaded about this theme one. That seemed to be quite a popular thing when we mentioned it earlier, so we'll have to look into that. But more of these on the way. I got Ryan and Bethany games in a couple of weeks' time. Obviously, I want to get as many collaborators on here as possible, and obviously, I would love to have you two on here as often as possible. People sort of joked by saying, when you made your announcement, people sort of joked a couple of me in private saying, "It's like, are you three joining forces now?" And it's like, could you imagine that? Broken board game ramblings or something. It's like, you know, it's like, I wouldn't put it past myself to attempt that if I lived in Norway, but it's a bit hard to do that from overseas. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for being on the show, you two. Love you all. Take care, and we'll see you on the next time. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.